The hero is in a weightless state in an unknown space. He regains consciousness, sees a stream of blue light around him and wonders where he is, and notices the scarlet flame that appears in front of him, wondering what's going on. A Taoist alchemist appears before his eyes at the moment of the ritual. In front of him is a golden incense burner, inside which the flame pulsates. Then a swirl of intertwined streams appears and he mentally asks where he should go. One of the twisting jets of smoke moves away from the swirling smoke, rushes towards him and slams into his head, causing him to cry out. The next moment, he opens his eyes abruptly, as if he's woken up from a nightmare. The girl next to him, who was sitting next to him, addressed him as Tang Qian and asked him anxiously if he was okay. He sits down on the bed and touches his head, asking what happened to him. She replies by asking if he remembers her. She is Fu Hongyi. He came to her store today to get a job. He replies that he remembered seeing some hooligans outside her store. Then he hit something hard. And he's passed out, isn't he? He asks. She confirms. And with a smile adds that, since he's awake, she'll call a doctor to see him. She also asks if he is hungry, but he refuses and says that he is not. But his stomach is rumbling treacherously, which makes him uneasily embarrassed. She says that she will bring something delicious. As he lies back down on the bed, he notices other patients, including an elderly man and 2 other young guys. Suddenly, he hears that a thin man has liver disease, giardia, and hepatitis, that he needs a tablet of 100 grams of medical honey, 100 grams of beiji, and 100 grams of yellow honey. All mix and melt and take once a day. He looks around in disbelief, wondering what it was and who said it. Or is it just his imagination? Shaking his head, he denies such a phenomenon in this world. But based on his knowledge, he understands that this formula can actually work. Then he observes a man who has come to visit a sick person and notes that when he looks at him, he does not hear any voice and wonders if this is because he is healthy. Then she turns her head and looks at the guy with the cast on his leg. And again, he hears a voice saying that he has a broken leg and a slight skin damage that can be cured with a special cooling ointment. He screams and is looked at strangely by others and apologizes awkwardly. The girl comes and asks if he feels better. He replies that he is fine. Pouring the soup says that she brought chicken soup. He needs to drink it as soon as possible. After she starts blowing the soup and holding out a spoon says to try and say what it tastes like, he awkwardly says that he will drink it himself. She leaves, asking to take care of herself and says that they will see each other tomorrow. He in response asks to be more careful. After she leaves, he immediately starts getting dressed and says that he is also a medical student and knows that this injury is not serious. It is much more important for him to earn money. His father still needs money to cure his illness and leaves the hospital. But suddenly someone calls out to him, asking how he got here. This was the flower of the class, Mo Weiwei. She plaintively says, "Don't call her that. Don't give her such a strange nickname." He asks her what the intern at this hospital is and says to himself that it's not a nickname. She's been the goddess of all boys for the last 4 years. She suddenly approaches and says that she is a student at this hospital and again asks what he is doing here. He looks down and says that he's not here to study and pauses. She asks if this is related to his father's treatment, adds that she has spoken to the teacher at their school and plans to raise funds for his father's treatment. He thanks her. She says that then she will contact him when it is done. Suddenly, sirens wail and 2 ambulances pull in. They look at it in shock. She asks what happened and why there are so many cars. And as he hurriedly runs away, he says that it looks like something serious, and they will see each other later. 2 staff members carry patients on stretchers and hurriedly ask for admission, while one patient shouts that he has a stomachache. The doctor accompanying the little girl shouts that she has lost consciousness and needs to be sent to the operating room immediately. Running after them, Tan wonders what has happened to these patients, whether they are all poisoned or infected. The girl notices him and asks why he didn't come back, and he replies by asking why so many children are being sent to the emergency room. She explains that teachers and preschoolers in kindergarten got food poisoning. Entering the ward filled with baby cries, she asks if he can do her a favor, and he immediately agrees. She says that he will help take care of these children, and tells her that if she sees anything suspicious, tell her immediately. She must give the other children injections. He looks at one of the children. Again, the voice says that this child has a dark blue complexion, dark lips, and lethargy, which are symptoms of poisoning. He goes on to say that this is a common food poison that causes detoxification. It can be cured with 50 grams of honey, 6 grams of wine juice. Clay pots can be used as a tool for refining. The medicine should be taken with warm water 3 times a day, and the course of treatment is 7 days. Afterward, Tan wonders if this recipe is really useful, like in a martial arts novel. At this moment, someone comes and all the nurses run up and say that they are now in the emergency room, and this situation is very sudden. She sharply asks what exactly the victims ate and what could have caused the poisoning. One answers that it looks like the poison was in the internal organs of the animal that was eaten. The specific cause of poisoning is now being investigated. The woman says it must be related to unscrupulous meat sellers. This is the 3rd case of food poisoning this month. Tang Qian is shocked to recognize her as Professor Wang Lixia. Touching the girl, she determines that the child has an upset stomach and tells her to inject atropine, also take a sample of vomit and find out the cause as soon as possible. A nurse bursts in and says that patients with arrhythmias are dying, and the nurse replies that she is already on her way. Watching what is happening, he anxiously thinks that something serious has happened and hopes that no one will die. He decides at any cost to try the detoxification powder. In addition, it can remove the remaining toxins from the body. When he reaches the pharmacy, he hastily asks to bring the ingredients as soon as possible. After returning, his waiting Mo gets angry and asks where he was. Didn't he say that he would help her take care of the patients? He wipes his sweat and apologetically says that he had something to do and asks if she has a bottle of water. She shyly holds out a bottle of water and asks if he wants to drink from it, but he says he can borrow it for a few minutes. As he pours the water, he remembers how in high school, a lot of guys would have liked to drink from the bottle, but now is not the time for him to think about it. Mo, holding the girl in a panic, calls Tang and tells her to keep an eye on her, and she will call Dr. Wang, after which she runs away. The next moment, the girl starts coughing and foaming at the mouth. He says in fright that she has become worse and is dying. He decides to give her the solution, pours it out, and helps her drink it. Then he asks her how she is and if the medicine works, but suddenly she starts throwing up right on the bed. Looking at this, Tan anxiously thinks that she has only gotten worse, but she begins to catch her breath and he asks if she's okay. And he, judging by her face, understands that she has already become better, and mentally rejoices that the powder was effective. The divine doctor really exists in his head. Perhaps he will be able to cure his father. Dr. Wang and Mo rush in, and she hurriedly tries to explain what happened to the patient, but suddenly stops when they see her. Mo starts examining her and asks what's wrong with her and how she was able to suddenly recover. And in bewilderment, she tells the doctor that a minute ago she looked like she was dying. And the doctor replies that the girl's lips are red, her pulse is normal, and in general, everything is fine. The patient says that she feels fine, but she is still a little dizzy. The doctor tells her that she ate something wrong. It's good that it came out. She needs to rest, lie down for a while. A nurse bursts in and tells the doctor that Dr. Xiao is calling for her. There are 5 children who have lost consciousness. She tells Mo to put the girl on a saline drip. She must be dehydrated and call her if the patient's condition worsens. After her departure, looking at the patient, she thinks, when she was brought here, she had one of the most serious cases of poisoning. How did she manage to heal herself? Tan suddenly asks her if she can smell Chinese medicine. She sniffs the air and admits that she can actually smell herbs too. He says that he tried to give her a Chinese medicinal decoction and offers to give it to other patients. This medicine has a detoxification effect. Mo asks in surprise. He wants this Chinese decoction to ease the symptoms of poisoning. Where did he get such a good Chinese medicine? He realizes that he cannot say that this medicine is only in his head, and replies that his grandfather gave the recipe. He was a specialist in Chinese medicine and conducted research on detoxification, and immediately adds that now it is important to save people. Using this medicine, they will cure the rest of the poisoned patients. She enthusiastically agrees. Giving the child her own concoction says that she will feel better after this medicine, and tells Mo not to tell anyone that it was he who gave her this medicine, if anyone asks. Then tell them that it is a prescription from a doctor who wants to remain anonymous. She asks if that patient didn't hear him, so she can tell him. He calmly replies that everything is fine, she was dizzy and didn't hear them at all. Then he thinks that people shouldn't know the truth, otherwise they'll turn him into a lab rat. When Tan was giving another child a drink, the nurse notices this and sharply asks what he is doing, what he gave him to drink. He stops and says that he gave him medicine to cure him. She asks what kind of medicine? Didn't he know that they can't just take and use any medicine? Tan replies that this Chinese medicine treats well, helped a seriously ill person. If she doesn't believe it, she can go to the emergency room on the 2nd floor. Perplexed, she asks what he is talking about. How can a Chinese medicine have such an effect? As if remembering, he adds, how he got here because he doesn't work here. At this moment, the child throws up and accuses him that he only got worse. He says that after that he should get better. He should give this medicine to other children as well. She grabs his hand, says she won't let him do it, and starts calling security. The man pushes the nurses away and hurries to them and asks what happened. She points to Tan, says, take this guy away. He got the patient drunk with something. The guard pulls Tan's clothes, says that he will go with him. Tan shouts that he is wrong, he was here to save people. Adds that after this medicine, everyone will recover. Can ask his classmate Mo Weiwei. She also uses this medicine. The guard says that he will get out of here with him and does not say how the doctor should treat the patient. He assumes that he is still a student, so he does not want to be rude. Suddenly, Dr. Wang intervenes, orders a stop, and heads toward them. The nurse tells her that she was on time. This guy was secretly feeding the patient's Chinese medicine. But she, approaching Tang, asks what his name is. He shyly answers, Tang Qian. Tang is the Tang dynasty and Qian as in modesty. Tang looks at her and thinks that Wang Lixia is a real goddess. Not only does she have a beautiful face, but she also has nobility and high medical literacy. He used to wish that he would introduce himself to her in a dream, hoping to interact with her. But Professor Wang is a busy person, not a medical student like him. He didn't expect her to be standing in front of him at such a moment. Interrupting his thoughts, she asks him how he got the Chinese medicine he gave to the patients. He replies that the medicine was brought by Mo Weiwei. He heard that the prescription was from an unknown old Chinese doctor. Perhaps he refused to reveal his identity. She says that Mo said the same thing, and admirably adds that she was shocked to see a dose of Chinese medicine. She didn't even believe at first that if used correctly, it could be a lifesaver for all patients. Taking his hand, she continues that her ancestors studied Chinese medicine, and so did she. She found it hard to understand, but now they can breathe easy. Tan confusedly suggests that we give the patients their medicine first and talk later. She agrees and orders all patients to take this medicine. Tan is approached by the nurse, who apologizes guiltily and says that she misunderstood him, admits that his medicine is very good. He replies that she also takes care of patients. That's why she stopped him. This medicine has nothing to do with him, he only helped to take it. All staff promptly begins to give medicine to patients. Watching this with a smile, Tan lets out a sigh of relief. Dr. Wong says that the patient's condition has stabilized and they can now allow visits. As soon as they are allowed, the patient's loved ones rush to them excitedly. Later, a man in the study asks Professor Wong if all of this is true. She replies that she saw it with her own eyes. It can't be fake. This recipe for treating food poisoning is very good against this disease. Another man skeptically remarks that a student named Tang Qian isn't an intern at their hospital at all and isn't on their list. According to the CCTV footage, the medicine wasn't prepared by Mo Weiwei. Tang Qian brought it, meaning the detoxification medicine was given to them. Dr. Wong replies that they said the powder wasn't their prescription, but it was given to them by an old Chinese doctor who asked not to be named. That man says that the uncontrolled condition was solved with the help of Chinese medicine. Then they should find this doctor and learn from him. She replies that Mo said they can't reveal the origin of the medicine, as the other party doesn't want to reveal the identity. He shouts in exasperation, so they have to find out who this old doctor is. What makes this medicine? They have no malicious intent and they will not harm him. She adds that she and Mo Weiwei are close to each other, so he assigns her the task, but she only says that she will try her best. At this time, Tan rushes to the neurological specialized hospital, and he thinks, since the recipe in his head was yin and yang for getting rid of poison, there must be a recipe for treating his father's illness. When he sees him, he can get a prescription for the treatment of his father's illness. Walking up and looking at his father, trying to calm down, he just needs to keep an eye on him. He had moderate to late-stage kidney failure, and the voice says that this patient's face is grayish-brown in color. Ordinary medicines can only alleviate the condition. If he wants to cure it, the only way to use qi energy. The main medicine is Dan, Zhangjia herbs, Soul herb, rhubarb 3 pieces, Changbei 2 pieces, to cook. You can use a regular oven. The course of treatment is 7 days for 2 to 3 times a day. Tan thinks that these medicinal herbs at first glance seem like something out of a fantasy novel. Where can he find them? If no medicinal materials are found, then the so-called primary qi remedy cannot be improved. In ancient China, in the 1970s, they called it bloating, so there was nothing wrong. And kidney failure became a disease. Ordinary medications were useless. Although he doesn't know what medicinal herbs are listed in the formula, but the recipe is correct. So there is still hope. The next moment, a girl enters the ward, addressing Tan and asking if he is here. This one turned out to be his brother's daughter-in-law. She asks how he is doing at work. Tan replies that he has earned more than $3,000 in a month, and he can find a part-time job. She is happy for him, says that his brother is paralyzed, so he is the main support of the family. If he gets sick, she and her mother do not know what they will do. And remembering, she takes out the money and handing it to him, says this money is for him. She adds that this is money that she borrowed from her parents, and asks to use it to pay for treatment. He immediately says that it is not necessary. He has enough money to pay. She replies that she is his daughter-in-law. He is her father. They are all members of the same family and asks to accept them. Tang recalls how after Tang Liang's older brother was paralyzed in an accident, her family abandoned him, but she stayed with him, and now she is borrowing money. He almost tearfully notes how kind she is to their family. He will definitely repay her tenfold. Entering the office, Tan sees a doctor who addresses him. Tan asks what happened. He tells him to sit down first. Now he will tell him. And handing him the papers, he says that this is the result of his father's examination. He should understand what is written in the report. His father's condition is very bad. After reviewing the report, Tang asks, shouldn't he have a way to help him? He always believed that his hospital could cure his father. The professor replies that they are doing their best, but there is nothing they can do about it. He adds that Tan is also studying medicine, so he should know what the state of the disease is and how long he can live. Tan starts crying in denial. Later, Tang arrives at the store and informs Miss Fu that he has come. She asks if he is okay and why he left the hospital without saying a word. He says he's fine. He wants to ask if she wants him to work here. She says that she wants to, because he is such a good person and his salary is already waiting for him. She hands him the envelope with the money, and he just looks at it in disbelief. She says that $3,500 is his salary for the first month, and for $1,500 he can buy medicine for himself. After all, he was injured. He gives away the answer that it was a minor injury. And how can it issue a salary if he did not start working? She says there is no need to be so nice. She knows that his father has an illness. He still takes it and thanks her. She adds that he will help pick up and clean things in the store. Usually their store opens at 9 and closes at 5 or 6. Tang suddenly notices the incense burner. She says that he came across this ancient alchemy furnace yesterday. Tang thinks that since this is an alchemy furnace, the old divine doctor that appeared in his mind must be related to it. He asks her how much she sells this alchemy furnace for. She asks him back that he liked this oven, and he says that he is very fascinated by it. Can she sell it to him? If he likes her so much, then she will just give it away, she says. Tan refuses to answer that it is from the store. How can he get it just like that? Even if he can't afford it now, he will pay for it later. She agrees with a grin. $3,500 is his salary. He can pick it up when he deals with his problems. In the end, he takes it for himself, wraps it in a cloth, and comes home. After putting it down, he thinks, no matter how he looks at it, it looks like an ordinary furnace, but it feels a faint aura. Lying on the bed with a book, he wonders if it was all caused by a miracle. When he puts down the book and falls asleep, the incense burner begins to sparkle. And when he wakes up from the heat, he finds himself surrounded by flames. Hastily begins to knock on the window in bewilderment, asking where he is. It starts to burn him. He screams and calls for help from someone. He suddenly wakes up screaming and sits down on the bed in a panic. And when he calms down, he asks himself what it was. He thought he was going to die. Can't believe it was a dream. It was too scary and realistic. And at that moment, there is a knock on the door. Opening the door, he sees a beautiful woman. It was Sister Tao. She goes straight into the apartment and says she doesn't want to be rude, but his rent is too late. If he really couldn't pay the rent, let him move out of here. She didn't have time for that. Tan begs her to give him a reprieve. He can write a promissory note that he will pay everything in full. She screams furiously that if he doesn't pay the rent again in a week, he will ask someone to throw out all his things. He leans back, lowering his head guiltily, about to say something, but stops. His eyes fall on her, and he doesn't know what's happening to him. Closing his eyes, he calms himself, telling himself that this is just an illusion. She notices his gaze, indignantly asks what he's staring at, and asks if he's not married. Tan answers in surprise that he is not married. She asks, so the woman who lives with him is not his wife. Everyone says that she is his wife. He remembers his daughter-in-law and tells her not to listen to this nonsense. She is just his daughter-in-law. She asks in surprise how he and his daughter-in-law can share the same room. He reassures her by saying how they can do such disgusting things. They have no money at all, so they can only live like this. Miss Fu asks if they really don't have any money. Tang says he will tell her the truth. Tan finishes by saying that it's like this, and if she doesn't believe him, she can go to the hospital and check it out. It almost makes her cry, and she apologizes for pushing him. She thought that he just didn't want to pay, but it turned out that he had problems. If she knew, wouldn't be ashamed, and asked not to think badly of her. Tang replies that everyone says that Sister Tao is kind-hearted, so he would like to ask for some time. He will pay as soon as he has enough money. Wiping away her tears, she says that she believes him, so let him earn money to cure his father, and the payment for the apartment is not urgent. When she leaves, Tan thanks her, but she just waves him off. Left alone, he wonders how his eyes just now were able to react like this. Maybe it was hallucinations. And noticing the notebook lying there, he suddenly sees the contents of the closed notebook. Rejoicing, he realizes that it wasn't an illusion. He now sees through things. Then, remembering the incense burner, he thinks that it must have something to do with the stove, just like the fire in his dream. Wrapping the stove in the cloth again, he thinks that it is somehow magical. It looks like he can't keep it here, and decides to return it to Miss Fu's antique shop. The next day, he walks into the store and sees Miss Fu, and they exchange good morning wishes. He suddenly sees through Miss Fu's body. Closing his eyes, he tries to calm down and silently repeats that he shouldn't look there. The ability to see through can't be used in this way. She notices the item in his hands and asks if it's that old copper stove. But why did he bring it back to the shop? Tan replies that the security situation in the house that he rents is not very good. If such an expensive item was stolen, it would be a pity. So he decided to leave it if she didn't mind. She agrees and says that he can leave her in the warehouse and she would be grateful if he can stay to live here and look after the shop at night. He immediately happily agrees. Later, while carrying the box, he asks her where to put it, and she wonders. When Tang was wiping the vase, Miss Fu tells him that it is a very old vase. As they finally finish cleaning up, Tan wonders where else he can use this ability, other than peeking at beautiful women. He gets the idea to use it in gambling games and look through other players' cards to win. But he immediately dismisses the idea, and it's also illegal. After suddenly realizing that he can buy a lottery ticket and win a lot of money. In addition, it is legal to buy a lottery ticket, and he will win the money in a fair way. Right after lunch, he'll go out and buy one. And when he arrives at the lottery store, he is met by a man who notes that Tan is in their store for the first time. Inviting him to come in, he says that they already have countless winners. Last week, his friend won a prize of 500,000, and he asks what kind of lottery he wants to try. They have 2-color balls, lotto, and tickets with a protective layer, erasing which he will get his prize. Tan thinks for a moment, then hesitantly chooses the last option. He happily says that he recommends this option. Many people win in this form. Even his friends won 1,000 yen each. Tan picks up one of the lottery cards and activates his vision to look at its contents. He notices how Tan is staring at the lottery and is surprised that Tan doesn't see the prize and puts it down. And he starts going through all the tickets, but he doesn't see a prize in any of them. Watching this, the seller thinks. Others look only at the ticket number, but how long he holds the ticket in his hands, it seems that he can see what is written there. Another man comes up to them and asks if he buys lottery tickets or just admires them. Maybe he thinks it's some kind of art. The seller replies that Brother Bin doesn't understand. There are different ways to play, just like his old method. They don't have much time to consider each ticket, he admits, but adds that this is the first time he's seen someone so interested in the lottery. Tan says that the seller can be sure that he will buy a ticket from him, and asks if he can still look at a few more tickets. He kindly replies that there is no problem, of course he can. Brother Bin says to give him a couple of grand too. Like Tang, maybe this method is more effective and he can win a lot more. The seller asks what exactly he wants to buy, and the seller replies that he will play the Zodiac lottery. He takes out a box with this lottery and says to choose carefully. He doesn't get anything in the first one and suddenly Tan sees a big prize in his next ticket. He calls out to him loudly, making him jump in alarm, and asks if he can sell this ticket to him, just without erasing the protective layer. He is suspiciously interested. He liked his ticket. The seller suggests that maybe this is due to the fact that his last ticket looks neat and has collectible value and therefore attracted attention. Brother Bin tells Tan that this ticket is not antique. Why does he have such an opinion about this ticket? Maybe he is one of those antique dealers who evaluate tickets directly. Tan replies that it has nothing to do with antiques, he's just curious. He insistently asks why he is so interested in his ticket. He has never seen such a method of selection before. This is very unusual. Tan irritably thanks him for the compliment and asks him to just say whether he will sell it or not. Brother Bin says if he really wants it, then he will give it to you. Since it is the Zodiac lottery, then he has to pay 200. The seller notices that Brother Bin's offer is really not bad. It will be more economical to buy for 200 when. When he wins, he will realize the value. Tan hands him 2 bills in agreement and asks if he can buy these lottery tickets and erase them at home. The seller responds that of course he can, wishes him to win a big prize and is already waiting for him to come to exchange them for prizes. After he leaves, he says 2,005 yuan. What an idiot. Paid 10 times as much, and he says that such people become obsessed. Entering the store, he informs Miss Fu that he is back. She notices the package in his hand and asks what it is in his hands, and he replies that it is all lottery tickets. Miss is shocked and asks how many he bought. He replies that about 100. She asks, and how much they cost. Tan says 2,000. She says that this is almost his monthly salary, buying the lottery as a game. With 10 bets, 9 losses, it is not easy for him to earn money to pay for medical treatment right now. Tan reassures her that if he doesn't win anything this time, he will never buy those lottery tickets again. She sighs and offers to help him see what's in them, and they begin to erase the protective layer one by one. After some time, Tan lays out the tickets in front of them. The seller exclaims in shock. There are 90 tickets in total, of which 79 are winning, as he did. Tan takes out the last ticket and says this one, there were 3 mice on it. The seller snatches it out of his hands and shouts in shock that this can't be happening. Arriving at the hospital to see his father, Tan tells his father and daughter-in-law that he has good news. Sitting down on a chair, he says that today he has earned a lot of money. The daughter-in-law is surprised to ask how he earned money because he recently found a job. Tan replies that this is not the right job, and he thinks to himself that he probably shouldn't say that he won lottery. It will sound like he got involved in gambling. Instead, he says that he opened a small business with old classmates, and he managed to get 30,000. Father sitting up in bed and daughter-in-law cry out he got 30,000. She almost tearfully tells her father that Tan was able to earn so much at once. She still doesn't believe it. The father says that earning money is important, but not to go too far, because the most important thing is his health. The Tang family now has only him. Tang only replies that he knows. After leaving with his daughter-in-law, he tells her that he noticed that she had lost a lot of weight. Circles under her eyes. Let him go home and rest. He will stay here himself. She replies that she's not tired at all. Besides, he has work tomorrow. How can he stay here to take care of his father? Grabbing her by the shoulders, he says that if she is tired, then she should rest. He will ask that her father be looked after temporarily, and she agrees. Later, while sitting in the doctor's office, Tan asks if his father's blood pressure and pulse have stabilized. He replies that he thought about it for a long time and decided that it was better to talk to him about it. Tan excitedly and hurriedly asks if his father's illness is progressing again. The latter suddenly denies him reassuringly and says that he actually has some good news for him. And she asks him that he knows that the main way to cure his father is to have a kidney transplant. But finding a suitable donor is not so easy. The good news is that a suitable donor for his father has already been found. But not only his father is on the waiting list, but if he wants this transplant, you need to apply. Tang happily asks to apply as soon as possible. He replies that the surgical costs are 500,000 wen, and the next costs will be from 700 to 800,000 wen. They must guarantee payment, at least for basic expenses, if they want to apply for this operation. Tan says he has to apply. He asks if he can find a way to earn money. He immediately replies that he will, asks to give him a little time and he will definitely collect the entire amount, and begs to help use this opportunity. He replies that he will help in everything. And he says to raise money, then he will apply for this kidney and help get it. But time is short. He should hurry up. Tan replies that he understood and thinks that today he got 30,000 by buying the lottery, so it won't be difficult for him to collect another 500,000. After spending the night in the hospital, Tang thinks that his daughter-in-law has gone to sleep at her house and he will spend the night here. Arn hopes that the neighbors will stop spreading rumors about them. When Tan falls asleep, the incense burner starts blowing smoke again. He again has a dream in which he finds himself in the midst of flames. Sweaty wakes up and sits on the bed and thinks what happened. The same dream again. When he rinses his face, he notices something strange in his eye. His eye glows red and thinks in shock. Isn't this the fiery eye of Sun Wukong? That is, the Monkey King? Taishan Laojin pushed him into this alchemy furnace. He burned in the furnace's fire for several nights in a row to get a pair of golden fire eyes, and happily says that it was worth the pain in the dreams, because the eyes of the Monkey King can see through everything, and they can also see the demon's ghosts. In the store, while he was cleaning things, Tang asks Miss Fu if he can finish up early. He was going to see his father. She replies that it's no problem, and even if it's her shop, he doesn't need to be so polite to her. Let him call her sister Yihong. Tang responds by saying that then she can call him Xiao Qian. On the way, Tan thinks to himself, he didn't come out so early to go to the hospital, but to buy more lottery tickets. The salesman sees him and asks, is he here again, and greets him. Looking through the tickets, he thinks that there is only one winning ticket. It doesn't look like there are any other worthwhile ones here. Running down Lottery Street, he thinks that he should check out the other lottery shops. There should always be big wins. Entering the store, sees a man win a jackpot of 1,000 yuan and is disappointed that only 1,000. As he left, he thought to himself. He had visited many lottery shops, but he had only won 4,000 yuan. Frustrated, he wonders how long it will take him to raise $500,000 for medical expenses. As he enters the room, he suddenly sees Mo and Dr. Wang. Mo waves to him in greeting, and he bows to Professor Wang and asks how she is doing. She asked to be allowed to examine his father. Thanks to him, the same poisoning incident in their hospital was resolved. Tan awkwardly replies that he just helped out a little. Then remembering, he asks Mo, didn't she say about the donations? They've already been collected. After a moment's thought, she replies that they can start next Thursday. He grabs her hand and asks her to move away. He needs to talk to her about something. Outside, Mo says she needs him to be there by then. Tang asks, did she come here with Professor Wang? Did she ask about the origin of that poison powder? She confusedly replies that she actually came alone. They just met her on the way here. He immediately assumes that she told them the truth, and he asked her to keep it a secret from them. She indignantly replies that if she promised to keep it a secret, then she will keep her promise, but admits that Professor Wang has asked her about it many times, as if they attach great importance to it. At this point, Professor Wang opens the door and asks Tan if he can have a word with him. After they sit down, she says that through Dr. Huang she found out about his father's condition, and also that he needs money for this operation. She also understands the situation in which he found himself. The money for the operation is not something that he can afford now. Tan just says that no matter what, he will do everything in his power. She says that he has an aspiration, and it is very touching. She hopes that his father will be able to get this operation. He thanks her, and she immediately grasps that they should be thanking him. The medicine he brought that day saved the lives of all the patients who were poisoned then. Tan awkwardly says again that the medicine was not his. It was a prescription from an old doctor, which can be obtained at any pharmacy. However, she smiles and asks why she heard something completely different. Then, she was told that his grandfather prescribed this medicine for him. He anxiously asks who she heard this from, and she replies that it was the first patient he saved that day. Tan thinks to himself that this is bad. So she still heard everything, and says that the medicine is not related to his grandfather. He got it from the old doctor. He told it because Mo trusts him. She asks if he can give her any contacts of this old doctor. Tan immediately replies that this is impossible, as he has assured him that his identity will not be revealed. She says that as long as he passes them prescriptions, they will be responsible for the costs of his father's kidney transplant. Tang wonders if he can use the lottery winnings and Mo to help him with donations. But even then, it's unknown if he can raise $500,000. She asks, so what does he think about it? They are sincere enough, Tan asks. They only need medicine prescriptions. She confirms they don't want to use it or this recipe for their own benefit. They just want to be prepared in advance to save lives. He thinks about it and says, then he needs to talk to this doctor. And only in this way will he be able to give an accurate answer. After the daughter-in-law asks who this woman is, she is his homeroom teacher. Tan denies that she is also a doctor at the city's central hospital. Her medical skills are the best, and he admires her very much. She notes that Professor Wang was very nice and is so worried about him that she came to visit her father and brought him a bunch of gifts. He replies that she's cute and thinks to himself that she's probably just here for the detox powder. Walking down the street, Tang wonders if he can raise $500,000 in this whole week. If he can, then he doesn't want to help them and doesn't know how much trouble he'll get out of it. Going to bed next to the incense burner suggests that in his dream there will be a flame again, and sinking into sleep makes sure that this is what happens. As Tan approaches the store, he informs Sister Yihong that he has arrived. But he sees 3 hooligans who demand money from Miss Fu, and she asks them to leave. Looking at them, he remembers that these bastards used to come to the store and make trouble. Defending Miss Fu, he stands in front of her and asks what they are doing here. One of them grins and says that he thought Tan died that day and asks how he feels now. Another suggests that maybe he pretended to be dead that day to avoid a fight with them and then ran home. Miss Fu threatens that she will call the police. They are still looking for him. If he causes her any more trouble, they will all be arrested immediately. They all burst out laughing at her threat. He tells her that if she calls the police, so will he, because his nose is badly broken because they don't know who hit him. Tang says it was self-defense. He shouldn't cause any trouble here because of it. Miss Fu also confirms. He angrily replies that in any case, he hit him. He just can't let it go. Tan asks what he wants and he answers, compensation for medical expenses, as well as for moral damages, for the operation of his nose, a total of 300,000. Tan, angered by his impudence, shouts at him to dream. He says that he gives him a good chance, just pay him whether he believes it or not, but Tan can die in a matter of minutes. Suddenly, someone interrupts him and asks what they are doing here. They turn their heads to see Brother Hao and approach him and say, "What an unexpected meeting." Brother Hao asks, "Are they making a mess in someone's store again and causing inconvenience?" Miss Fu is his friend. He ingratiatingly says they're just here to buy antiques. Brother Hao adds that Miss Fu's father is a well-known figure in the industry, that she decided to open a store in the south is an honor for them. If they bully her, they will not spare them. He says that they didn't know that Miss Fu's father is a master in this area. She came to Jiangzhou district to develop it. Then they will be more careful. Miss Fu tells Tang that this is Lin Zihao, the owner of the Imperial Treasure Hall, and if Tang needs advice, he can contact him. Shaking hands, Tan asks them to take care of him in the future. He says that he will not dare to teach anything. It is better to learn from each other. Miss Fu introduces Tan, adding that she only recently hired him. Lin reports that a shipment of jade has arrived, and Uncle Hai asked me to tell her that if there is no problem, you can pick up the goods. Miss Fu replies that she believes Uncle Hai, that he is her father's best friend in Jiangzhou, and that she also believes in his vision, so there is no problem with what she receives or sends. He tells Tang to go with Mr. Lin to Yubao Tang and pick up those jade artifacts, and Tang agrees without any objections. When they arrive at the scene, Tan opens his mouth, startled by what he sees. Lin kindly asks him to come in, and he hurries inside and thanks him for the invitation. Once inside, he is once again surprised by the amount of antiques and how spacious the hall is. Lin Tang then introduces Uncle Hai and tells Uncle that Miss Fu wanted him to meet this guy. Tang bows and greets his uncle, who also greets him and asks if he works for Fu Yihong Shufangzai. Tan confirms this but says that he recently started working for her, having never done anything like this before. My uncle replies that it doesn't matter. There are a lot of promising newcomers now. No one knows everything from birth. During the conversation, Tan reflects. He thought that people who are related to antiques are more serious, but after the conversation, realized that they are kind to others. Suddenly, a voice sounds in his head. He says that his uncle's complexion is yellowish. Blue veins are visible around his nose. It is obvious that he is ill, presumably with liver disease. Tang realizes that Uncle Hai really does look bad, and that's not surprising. The voice continues that although the disease is not so serious, but if left like this, it can lead to bad consequences. You need a Hugen pill for treatment. The Hugen pill is an ordinary elixir. You need to take gentian for 2 yuan, angelica for 5 cents, and psyllium for 2 yuan and mix it all together. To make this pill, he can use ordinary medical vessels, a course of treatment from 7 to 49 days, as well as abstinence from alcohol and diet. Yitang thinks that this is probably a cure for liver disease. He should remember it. It will be very useful in the future. Then he asks his uncle how he feels. Maybe something hurts. He replies that he has recently started to worry about an old stomach disease. Sometimes it hurts, but then the pain still passes. Tang wonders, shouldn't there be a liver disease? How can it be a stomach disease? He thinks that the stomach and liver are close, so the pain is often mistaken for a stomach disease, and without proper treatment, the liver condition only worsens. My uncle says he's had this disease since he was young, and he's been living with it for 30 or 40 years, and asks Tan if he knows any medicine. Tan replies that he can only say a little. He was a medical student, but left before receiving his degree. He asks why he didn't come back, because the study of medicine is very promising. Tan replies that there were some family circumstances, so there was nothing he could do but drop out of school, and abruptly suggests to my uncle to undergo an examination of his liver to find out if there are any problems. My uncle asks in surprise, does he know how to make a diagnosis with one glance, and he saw liver disease? Tan in response asks, he likes to drink. He smilingly replies that in his youth he liked to drink. For him, the norm is to drink a few liters at a meal. Tan says that alcohol harms the liver, and if you consume a lot, it will definitely affect it negatively. Just in case, let him check it out. He replies that after listening to his suggestion, he thinks that he really should go to the hospital to be sure if there is nothing. Lin, watching them, thinks to himself that Tang Qian has good eyesight and senses. He even knew how to identify the problem, which was not easy. Uncle tells Lin to bring the jade artifacts that Yihong wanted, let Tang take them away. While Tang is admiring the artifacts, Uncle says that these jades were brought from Pingzhou. Most of them are jadeite. There are also Heqian and Lantian. Jade, although an ordinary stone, is the most beautiful because of the different conditions of formation. It differs in color, texture, and shape. Suddenly, a man arrives and loudly informs that the jades are here, and he has already tried one and is sure that all are good. And for them to see for themselves, he lays out a jade stone in front of them. Lin says that the stone is similar to ice jade. The latter replies that it does not reach the level of ice seeds with an admixture. It is a kind of ice sticky stone. The color is also good. Lin says that he hasn't seen such a beautiful stone for a long time, and he has already lost hope that this batch of stones will be returned. He replies that they didn't go to Pingzhou for the stones this time. Even though all the stones cost tens of thousands of yuan, this one was the best. Lin, giving the jade to Uncle, asks how much it can cost, 70,000 or 80,000. Uncle Hai looks at it and says that it is quite good. Unlike other jade stones, it doesn't have an exact price, about 70 or 80,000 yuan, and asks Lin why he does it. He wants to use it as a part-time gambling job. Lin denies and says that if you bet on him, you should bet completely. My uncle says that gambling on precious stones is not the best activity. Only by completely removing the shell, you can draw a conclusion. Lin doesn't have to take part in this. In general, this type of betting is called return of the second best. There is a big risk of losing gain. He rubs the jade and says that he will tell you more later and asks Tan if he will allow you to return these items to the store for him. But Tan just agrees. On the way, Tang asks Lin what he said earlier. Stones can be used in betting. Lin says that unprocessed jade looks like a normal stone, and until it is cut, it is impossible to find out if there is any value inside. This is based on the bet on stones. Tan asks if it is difficult to play it and if there is a big profit from them. He replies that, of course, the profit is very large, but the risks are also large. This type of gambling is considered legal. Tan quickly asks if there is any catch. He says that in his experience, apparently there is no such skill to win in it. He thinks that only financial resources and luck are important here. A stone that is currently worth tens of thousands may actually be worth less than 500 yuan. But it has never won once, so the probability of winning is not even 1/10. If he doesn't have enough money, it's best not to try, but of course he can participate as long as he can afford it. Tang asks if there is no such tool that can be used to see the condition of the jade of a raw stone. Lin replies that if such a tool existed, then why would they need a gastroscope, a human body that is not as dense as a stone? Tan suggests that in this case, only X-ray vision can see what is inside the stone. He laughs and says, if he really has such an ability, then he can safely gamble on stones. What kind of stone would he like to bet on? Tang only awkwardly replies that he doesn't know. Later they reach Miss Fu's store and Tang thanks them. And they say their goodbyes, followed by Tan thinking that he will make money by betting on stones and earn a lot of money. Others bet on stones relying on luck, but he has special eyes. If the stone is hidden excellent jade, he will immediately notice. Miss Fu approaches Tan and says, don't be afraid of these three who caused problems today. If they come again, she won't just stand aside. He confidently says that it is they who should be afraid of him, and she agrees, offering to bring things inside. Tang asks, is there a jade shop on this street that sells raw jades for gambling purposes? She replies that she didn't pay attention to them, but there are many jade shops on the street, but there are very few shops selling gambling stones. Tan asks where they mostly do it, where there is a large selection of stones. She replies that mainly in Pingzhou Jade Market, Foshan, Guangdong. In the high season, such as the Jade Market, there will be a large supply of stones. She adds that she doesn't gamble at all, but she's heard this one from people. Tang thinks that the most important thing is where to find the jade stone. He will try to look at the stone with X-ray vision. On the way, a passerby suggests that if he is looking for raw jade, he can buy it there. He points to the jade shop. At the entrance, the guy who works for Uncle Hai greets him and asks if he needs help. Upon recognizing him, Tan wonders in surprise how he ended up here. Is it a coincidence? And tells him that he didn't know that he works in this store. The latter also recognizes him, says that he has been working in the Jade Square for several years. Yi asks Tang to come look at the jade wares. Tang replies that he just came to look around, and notices that even during the break, there are a lot of customers. He replies that more and more people are betting on jade stones, and asks if they can show him around. Pointing to the jade stones, asks if these stones are good after all. Tan admits that they are really good. Then, pointing to the others, says that these jade works are made by Teacher Fan. He is a master of jade carving. Tan apologetically asks, besides the finished jade works, are there any other jade stones? He doesn't understand and asks the other stones what he means. Tan answers, such stones that are used in gambling. He asks if he means raw jade stones, meaning he wants to take a chance and try his luck. And he tells how a guy named Yahello placed a bid on a very good jade stone. And at the auction, its price reached 100,000 yen, while the stone cost 500 yen. Although Yahello won about 100,000 that time, but he still lost more money than he won, and advises Tan, if he did not bet before, then do not participate in this. Betting on stones is like taking drugs. In both cases, people lose a lot of money. But if he has a lot of money, he cannot worry if he loses. Tan replies that he knows, he's just curious, so he wanted to see different types of jade stones. He calls for them, says that they have such stones, if he really wants it, he will not stop. But if he wins, he will be glad that he sold the stone to him. He takes me to a private room and tells me that these are the stones he was looking for. And he says that these stones are sold by weight. The highest quality stone costs 4 or 500 yuan per kilogram. The average one costs 3 or 200, and the worst one costs 100. The ones on the shelves are considered half-game gems, and beginners like him usually start with them. Tang says he will take a look at them then, and Tang says if you need anything, he can call him Shong. After Tan picks up one of the lying stones, activates the eyes, and he sees a faint glow inside, and is glad that even though he doesn't know what quality, this is a good start. And as he examines the other rocks, he wonders if there are more. But his X-ray vision can only see a couple of centimeters deep. Shong suddenly returns and asks if he is still picking out the stones. But when he sees the stone in his hand, asks if he has already chosen the stone, Tan thinks to himself that he feels that this stone will win, and says that he decided to take it when they entered. And giving the stone asks how he likes this stone, he asks in response. He chose it from a pile of ordinary stones. He adds that it is generally true that most of them are dog shit. They are of low quality, so the price for them is also low. Tan cautiously asks how much this stone is worth. Shong shows 4 fingers and says, "That's how much it costs." Tang sweated and thought that he was talking about 400 yuan, but he smiled and said, 40 yuan. Tang asks in surprise, "Only 40 yuan." He nods and says that Brother Zihao and Uncle Hai are his friends, so he sells these stones. Tan says that even if he loses, he won't lose much money, and asks where he can carve this stone. Shong replies that there are generally 2 methods. The first is rubbing and the other is cutting the stone. Rubbing means rubbing until the gemstone appears, and cutting the stone means dividing the stone into 2 parts. And he adds that since his stone is made of ordinary material, he can take advantage of cutting the stone. Then he shows them where they cut stones and says they have a stone cutter, and he can cut his stone when they're done. Tana notices Brother Bin and says, "Isn't that a lottery card eraser master?" And approaching Tanu asks how he got here. He now buys stones. It seems that he really is a connoisseur of antiques. Tan curtly replies that this is his first time here and that he has some business to attend to. He says that he knows so much about lottery tickets, he must be very lucky. Shong heard this and asked Tang if he had earned a lot of Dinesh in the lottery. He replies with an awkward smile that he was just lucky, and he won a little. Bin tells Tan not to be so modest. He bought 10,000 tickets and asks if he chose a stone to cut. Tang replies that he will just try his luck. Shong says, when they are done, he will help him cut the stone. And they see how the man after cutting it regrets that he bought this stone for 50,000 yuan, just to find out that it is junk. Others say that although the stone looks beautiful, it is strange that in the end such a result, it has a lot of impurities, so it costs almost nothing. Shong tells Tan that the cross-section shows that the quality of jade is very low, and you can only bet on the stone if the quality is good and the value is high. Tan asks if there is any standard of stones. He answers that the color of jade depends on the ground in which the stone was placed, and is divided into good and low quality. Glass, snow white seed color, wax and grain color. Bets on snow white seed mostly win. Then he says that now he will cut the stone for him, and applying the stone to cutting informs that he is starting. Bin sees his stone, laughs and asks if he really wants to bet on a regular stone. Is it worth 10 yuan? Shong says that this is an ordinary stone and it is inexpensive. His friend Tan puts it on the stones for the first time, and asks what he needs. Another says he doesn't have to try. Even if he buys a truckload of such stones, he won't win anything. Huang retorts that even if the quality of the stone isn't high, it doesn't mean that the jade inside is of poor quality. He offers then bet, if the jade is of high quality, then he loses, and if it is of low quality, then he wins. The bet is thousands of yuan. Shong refuses to argue, and Shong laughs at the fact that they are so sure that with such a bad stone, you can get high quality jade. Tan suddenly asks him, he likes to argue so much and offers to bet on his stone. But 1,000 yuan is too little. If he wants to play, then play big, and asks if he agrees to a bet of 10,000 yuan. There is an immediate uproar, and anyone who wants to bet $10,000 asks Tan if he really wants to bet with him. Tang says that everyone present will be witnesses. If Tang loses, he will give 10,000 yuan. If he loses, then he will have to pay. He accepts the call and says that everyone here is an expert, and they will follow the process. Suddenly pulling Shong towards him. Calm down, Tang. Why would he get involved in an argument with Zhou Xiaobin? He's well known on the antiques street. Tan confidently replies that if he wants to argue, then he doesn't mind. Ershong says that he is actually right. The probability that this stone contains good jade is almost zero. Zhou Xiaobin is dangerous, even though he seems to be good. Tang thanks Ershong for taking care of him, but how can he be sure that there's no jade in there? A 50-50 chance? Xiaobin irritably asks if they are done chatting, and only says don't regret your decision later. The surrounding people say that Xiaobin just wants to make a lot of money on him, and he provoked him, knowing that he has a bad stone. Lin suddenly appears and asks Xiaobin who he's bullying here. He adds that he has heard that he is bullying Tang Xian. He is new here, so he doesn't dare molest him. The latter replies that it is impossible for him to bully the newcomer, since he is a friend of Lin's. He will be polite to him. Lin says he has heard that he is betting against him and asks what is going on in general. Xiaobin replies that he was joking about suggesting the argument to Tang, but thinks Tang took it seriously. But the others convinced him to stop, and sarcastically adds that Tan will be sorry when he loses, because in the end, he will win. Tan, angry at his words, replies that only he will regret it here. He tells Tan that he does not care about him and his low-grade stone. If he wants to argue with him, then let him speak directly. Lin warns Tan that the stone he bought has no value and advises him to listen to him and not argue with the other person. Tan thanks Lin and says that he has already decided that if there is no jade inside the stone, he will never touch such stones again. He asks Ershong to cut the stone for him, and Ershong asks Lin what he should do, and he says that if he really wants to do it, then let him cut it. Ershong obediently prepares to cut. Tang says, "Cut it 1 centimeter deep and not too much." Others watch it and grin, not believing that there is jade in it. When the stone is cut, someone sees the jade and shouts that Tang won the argument. Everyone is shocked and hurries to look at the stone, and they say that it is really green. It seems that the quality of the jade reaches the level of snow seed. Ershong says that if he had cut any more, he would have damaged the jade. Tanu is lucky. Not only did he choose the right stone, but he also guessed where exactly to cut it. Tan just says that he was very lucky, but thinks to himself that this is not luck, of course, but his X-ray vision. Lin tells Xiaobin that the stone has been cut, and it can be seen that there is good quality jade there. He replies that he didn't expect this, but he doesn't think that Tang won, because only a piece was cut off. It is not known whether there is high-quality jade in the rest of the piece. Everyone turns on him, outraged that Xiaobin is against the rules of gambling. Someone else is offering to sell the stone to him for 50,000 yuan. Xiaobin says that he just wants to make sure that there is a solid jade. If that's the case, then he will admit that he lost. Tan replies that since he still doesn't want to admit defeat, they will continue the bet and tells them to continue cutting. Tan is asked if he really wants to continue the argument. Lin reminds that in this game there is a phrase, "If you see jade, do not lose sight of it." If it turns out that the jade contains impurities, then he loses. Tan replies that he knows but still wants to try, and thinks to himself that he has already seen what's inside. The rest of it is better than what is already visible. Ershong says that then he will continue to cut, and Tan asks him to point his finger and cut shallowly in this direction by about 8 millimeters. Seeing the other side of the jade, Ershong thinks that Tang is favored by God, and turning to Xiaobin, she asks what he will say to this. There is also a good quality jade on the back of the stone. Immediately, others lash out at Xiaobin, demanding that he pay the guy and admit that he lost. The latter excuses himself with displeasure that Lao Mo gave him money if he gives it to Tang. What will he say to Lao Mo? Ignoring Xiaobin's words, the money is taken away from him and given to Tang, and he happily thanks everyone. He tells Xiaobin that he should stop thinking that he is the best and behave arrogantly. After the man tells Tan that he is so lucky, he chose a random stone, and it turned out to be high-quality jade. Another offers to buy it for 100,000 yuan if Tang doesn't know what to do with the stone. Hearing this, others start calling even larger sums, offering to buy back the stone. Tang asks if he cuts the stone completely and pulls out the jade. How much will it cost? Lin replies that it depends on what the jade looks like. If everything is good, then at least it will be 300,000 yuan, and Tang decides whether to continue cutting. After cutting it completely, Lin sees the gemstone and says in surprise that it is Huanyang green jade. Yi showing jade notes that it is slightly transparent, and one can notice a bright yellow-green color, similar to a tree leaf blooming in early spring. And giving Tanu the stone, he adds that although it is not comparable to such a species as the Green Emperor, but it is also quite rare and expensive, and advises to hold it tightly. Tan feels a warmth that he can't describe as he presses the stone, and thinks to himself that he will first find a professional who will appreciate it. With these 300,000 and counting the tens of thousands of yuan he earned in the lottery, there's less than 200,000 yuan left to pay for the operation. By buying more lotteries and placing bets on stones, he will be able to collect the missing money in 1 week. When he meets Miss Fu in the morning, he notices that she came early today. She notes that he is full of energy, and when he is excited about something, Tan just says that it's nothing special. He thinks that now that he has the money, he should invite Sister Yi Hong and Xiong Lulin. But he decides to postpone it for a while because she told him about the jade shop. Then Xiong and Lin arrive, asking if he has sold his jade. Tan replies that he hasn't decided on the price yet, so he's looking for a professional to help him. Lin says that he will not have to find a person to evaluate the stone, and introduces the man that it is an expert on jade. Fan, many of his works have received awards. Tang says Xiong mentioned him, it's such an honor to meet him. He says that he heard that he won a valuable jade yesterday, so he came here to appraise it, and asks if he can show it. Tang immediately agrees. Miss Fu asks Lin if it's true that he said that Tang won a valuable jade yesterday. He confirms and says that yesterday Tang bought a stone for 40 yuan, and when he cut it, it turned out to be a rare type of jade. She tells Tan that he has been lucky lately. He bought lotteries and bet on the stone, and in both cases he won. He replies that he did not think that he would win. After examining the jade, everyone is amazed by its beauty and Tan asks Mr. Fan what he thinks. He replies that this jade is definitely very good. With such a texture, very rare and very hard to find. If Tang decides to sell it, he is willing to buy it for 300,000 yuan and asks what he will do. Tang thinks about it, and Fan adds that here in the store, there is a similar jade, but the quality is worse. This kind of jade could be used to make an expensive piece of jewelry, but unfortunately, Xiong was drunk and carelessly cut the stone, scratching the jade itself. Tang understands, that's why he's rushing to buy it from him, so without any problems, he's willing to sell the jade. Tang thinks that by selling it to Lin, he will not only earn money but also make friends. Miss Fu is also overjoyed and says that the stone that cost him 40 yuan is now worth 300,000 yuan, almost 10,000 times more. Tan replies that he was just lucky and thinks to himself, all thanks to X-ray vision. After that, Tan comes to the hospital and informs his father and daughter-in-law that he has come. The daughter-in-law asks in surprise why Tan is here. Is he on a break? He replies that he asked for a vacation, and they also have something to celebrate. His father excitedly asks if something has happened, and Tang says that he was recently able to successfully sell and earn 300,000 yuan. The father is moved, says that he has become so successful, he is so happy, and does not know what to say. Tan asks to rest here. He will make sure that the doctors give the best and most effective treatment. Then he goes to Dr. Huang's office, who says that Tan is just in time. He has something to tell him. And after a pause, he adds that there is a problem with the donor kidney. Tan anxiously starts asking what happened. The kidney donor refused. The doctor replies that this is not the case, but because of the large number of requests, the operation time has changed a little. He adds that Tan said it would take him a week to collect the entire amount, but the problem is that now he has to pay in 3 days and asks if he will be able to do it in time. Tan confidently replies that he will have time and asks to make an appointment for surgery, even if there is only 1 day left. He hesitates a little, and Tan shows how he made 400,000 in 1 day, so he can easily collect 500,000 in 3 days. The doctor is shocked and asks how he was able to earn so much, but the doctor replies that he recently worked on a project with classmates. He says that he is glad to hear it, but the sooner Tan collects the amount, the better. Tan responds sympathetically that he will try. On the way, he thinks that there is no big win in the nearest lottery stores. Apparently, he will have to earn money again using bets. When he arrives at the store, he sees Uncle Hai and Lin. Uncle says that they were waiting for him. Tan immediately asks if something has happened. The uncle thanks Tan and says that the incredible doctor was able to immediately identify the disease. Tan awkwardly replies that he is exaggerating. He adds that following his advice, he went for a checkup and was diagnosed with kidney failure. He went to many doctors, but none of them talked about kidney failure. They thought he had stomach problems. Lin adds that his uncle has been diagnosed with the initial stage of cirrhosis of the liver and asks if he can cure his uncle with Chinese medicine. Uncle agreeing says that he hopes that Tan can cure him. He is willing to pay for the treatment. Tan replies that it's not that. He just doesn't know if he can cure him. And after a little thought, he asks his uncle to bring a copy of the medical card. He will carefully study it. Tang then says goodbye to Uncle Hai and Brother Lin and says that he will see you later. Miss Fu is surprised that such a talented guy works in her antique shop and asks why he dropped out of medical school. Tan replies that when he was doing an internship during his training, his father became very ill, so he dropped out of school for a while to earn money for his father's treatment. She says that there are so few people like him in the world. If he has any problems, he can contact her. He will be happy to help. Taking advantage of this, Tan asks if he can leave after lunch. She says no problem, because this is her store, and he happily thanks her. When Tan arrives at the jade shop, he is annoyed to think that he can't do it. There isn't a single decent stone here. Holding the stone thinks that this one is not as good as the last one, and besides, he does not see so deeply, maybe there are impurities there. Xiong comes up to him and asks him if he wants to bet again, but Xiong replies that he just came to watch. Xiong adds that so many people came here because of Tan. Tan asks again, and he explains that the fact that he had an ice jade was the news of the day. He confusedly replies that it was a coincidence that he picked up the stone at random, and asks if there are any other jade stone shops on this street. Xiong replies that there is, below the flower and bird market, and asks if he wants to go there. He has business there, can go together. Tan immediately agrees. The next day, they arrive at the Jade Street Bird Market in Rongbaoxuan. At the entrance, they are greeted by a cute girl, and Tan silently notes to himself that the girl is very beautiful. Xiong tells Miss Chen that he has come to pick up something for Teacher Fan, and she replies that it is ready. Lin introduces Tang and Xiong to her, saying that they work in antiques and jade. She greets Tan, and he greets her back, and they shake hands. Touching her hand, a voice in his head says that she has a weak pulse and low temperature, untimely menstruation. If she is not treated, she will have anemia and weakness in her body. For the treatment required, blood tonic pills, wolfberry for 2 cents, Chinese angelica for 1 cent, she uncomprehendingly addresses him. The voice continues, "You can use a medical flask as a tool, take it once a day, 7 days," and Tan understands that by touching the patient, you can assess his condition. Lin and Xiong chuckle as Tang doesn't let go of Miss Chen's hand. She calls out loudly again, interrupting his thoughts, and he awkwardly lets go of her hand and apologizes. She says that everything is fine and invites Lin inside. Yu notes that Tang looks very confused. Yilin adds that he finally understood what was going on, and Tang is even more confused, saying it's not what they thought. Xiong says that it's actually normal. In this street, Miss Chen has the reputation of being the Emerald Girl. She is the only daughter of King of Jade, Chen Owen. After that, they sit down at the table and Tan notes that it is a cozy atmosphere and a pleasant aroma, and that it is really very beautiful. He shakes his head, thinking to himself that this is not right. He is not here to look at the girl, but for the sake of the jade stones. He asks Xiong if there are any jade stones here, and Xiong says that they mostly sell jade here. However, Miss Chen also puts on stones. He met her a couple of times in Pingzhou. She often visits jade stone shops. After putting down the box, she says that she has been waiting for them for so long, all the jade that Mr. Fan ordered is here. The three of them immediately thank her and she tells Xiong that she heard that he bet on ice jade, and asks if it's really that good. He replies that he has not reached the level of ice jade. He belongs to the type of waxy ice seed jade. She asks Lin if he can help with the stone, because he has good eyesight. Lin asks her if she bought jade stones. She replies that she recently went to Guangyue and bought a bunch of stones, but many of them were simple. Only one was not bad, and she does not know whether to continue cutting or not, and tells Xiaoling to bring the stone that was cut the day before yesterday. Tang happily thinks that he can test his X-ray vision on this stone. After seeing the stone, Xiong says that the stone looks amazing, is quite large jade, and is also crystal clear. Lin adds that now the stone is very good. When you can see the cut, the jade on the other side of the stone can be of a better quality. Miss Chen, however, says that she recently lost a lot of money, so now she is confused. She has a friend willing to buy it, but wanted to ask them to rate it. Xiong and Lin start to look at it, and Tang also activates his eyes and stares at the stone. He asks Miss Chen if she can turn the stone over. She agrees without hesitation and turns it over. Xiong says that the shell of the stone is exquisite, and the jade inside is definitely of good quality. She says that it cost 120,000, but she bought it for 80,000. He asks how much her friend wants to buy it for. She answers for 300,000. He is surprised. Miss Chen asks what they think about it. Should she continue cutting the stone or sell it to a friend right away? Xiong replies that it's always hard to bet on a rock. No one can guarantee that the next cut will be successful, and asks Lin what he thinks. He agrees that it is really difficult to decide what to do with the stone. It all depends on Miss Chenny. She timidly replies that she will think about it again and asks Xiaoling to take the stone back. Suddenly Tan turns to her and asks if he has something to say, and she asks in surprise if he has something to offer. He says that he offers to continue cutting. It will be a shame if she sells it in this form. She asks why he thinks that. He sees what's inside. Tan replies that he just feels it, a kind of intuition. She replies thoughtfully that, on the other hand, other people have lost a lot of money due to poor intuition. Tan suggests that if she is not sure, then let him bet on the stone. If he loses, then he will pay out. But if he wins, then they will share the winnings. Xiong abruptly stops him and says that 300,000 isn't a joke, even though he won last time, but there can't be such a possibility in the future. Miss Chen thanks him, but she can't afford to take such a risk. She has to bet on her own. Suddenly, a man comes and asks her if she cut the stone. They recognize him as Uncle Hong, and when he sees those two, he is surprised that they are also here, and says that she promised the day before yesterday that if she didn't cut the stone within 3 days, she would sell it to him. Tan realizes that it looks like he is her friend who wants to buy a stone for 300,000. She tells her uncle that she decided to continue cutting, so she won't sell it. He indignantly asks if she promised him. She allegedly broke the promise. She replies that she hasn't broken it yet because it hasn't been 3 days. He came early. Uncle still agrees. But since there is less than a day left, she either cuts it up right in front of him or sells it to him. And she tells them to take the stone to the stone cutting room. Miss Chen turns to Tang, asks him what he thinks, whether he should be cut. Uncle Hong asks, is this her new friend in the Jadestone realm? She introduces Tan as a friend of Mr. Xiong and introduces him to Uncle Hong, the boss of the Zhangzhou jade business. Tan bows in greeting. Her uncle asks her if she decided to continue betting because Xiao Tang said so. and she says that she was optimistic from the beginning, and Tang only strengthened her decision. The uncle says that she can trust her friend, but he has met so many young people who were wrong, he personally lost more than he won. She turns to Tan, asks how she should start cutting. She would like to hear his opinion. He replies that he would suggest grinding the surface of the stone, looking at Tang Lin, wondering how he, being a novice, can advise anything with such confidence. When they started polishing, the man reports that there seems to be something green there. She quickly tells him to wash it out with water, and he immediately starts to do it. After that, everyone was amazed to see a whole jadiate without impurities. The man goes to check it out and says that it is a fine specimen and quite rare. Ershung tells Lin that the stone has such a bright green color, and Lin agrees, adding that it is so transparent that it was only necessary to rub it, as the jade immediately appeared. He says that suddenly Tan has an amazingly trained eye, and this did not pass him by. Tan thinks to himself he saw it with his own eyes. It would be strange if there was no jaded in it. She happily says that they got such a wonderful outcome only thanks to Tan's advice. He replies that there is no need to thank, and they shake hands. The man says that they underestimated him. Of course, he was optimistic about this stone, but lacked confidence, but his analysis is quite accurate. Miss Chen says that she didn't see it either. She thinks that Tang is not new to this business at all, but a master with an unusual vision. Tang modestly replies that he is just a beginner. In fact, it was Erxiong and Lin who brought him to this industry. Erxiong and Lin wonder to themselves if Tang is really an inexperienced novice, or if he is a hard-boiled samovar in this business. And why is he so precise as if he has prophetic power? She remembers that her name is Chen Mingying, and her friends and relatives call her Xiaomeng. She adds that he can call her that too if he wants, and Tang replies charmingly that he is honored to be Miss Chen's friend. On the way back, Erxiong asks Tan about how he originally knew that the stone would pay off, and Tan replies that it was just an accident. Erxiong asks if it could have been an accident and luck. He doubts that being a beginner, with one luck, you can find 2 stones in a row. Tang excitedly replies that he really only came to this industry. He has never even touched aventuring. If he doesn't believe it, then let him ask Miss Fu. Lin says that Tang wouldn't lie to them. They can't claim that his morals and luck are any different from theirs. Erxiong says that Tang is quite strange, so it's good that he joined the industry at the right time after all. Tan asks him that he said there was a jewelry store on Jade Street, didn't he? He replies, since he is still willing to bet, they will go. He is lucky today and cannot miss it. Maybe he will find a couple of good stones. When they come to the store, they look at the stones, and Erxiong says that there are a lot of stones in this store. Almost all of them have already snapped up. Tan privately thinks with annoyance that there are no good samples to bet on. Lin asks that when they are done, he will accompany him to the next store. He needs to grab a lot of things. Tang thinks that it's time for him to put in a couple of adventurers first. He needs to learn a few things from Lin and the other experts. He can't stay a novice forever. When he arrives at the next store, he suddenly notices the coins and thinks that he can't see the part under the layer of coins. He sees Kangxi Tongbao and wonders if it is valuable and starts checking, and he finds out that it costs only 20 yuan and decides to look at others. Lin says that there is nothing particularly good here and informs Tan that they are leaving. At this point, when he notices a different coin, he thinks that it is slightly different, so he will buy it. And he asks the seller how much he will sell those antique coins for. He answers that they are all made of a dense bronze base and in good condition for 800 yuan apiece. Erxiong indignantly says that his price is too high. He thinks they are green and don't understand it. Lin also joins in and says that the price is really unjustified. The seller replies that there are many places to evaluate antique coins. Lin says that the copper rust that the coins are coated with on top is very powerful, but he can't see what kind of copper is inside. He has never seen anyone ask so much for coins. Tan says that 800 is too much and asks if he could lower the price. He replies, at least 200, not less. Tan agrees to buy. Lin then asks Tang what he bought these copper coins for. He could buy hundreds of coins for 200 yuan, especially since they didn't have time for persuasion. Tan calmly replies that it doesn't matter, and if they are bad he will only throw 200 to the wind. After use in the bathroom, clean the coins with a rust remover. He then approaches Miss Fu and asks her to identify the coin for him, as she has good eyesight, and she agrees. She examines the coin in surprise and says that it is Kangxi Tongbao, and asks where he got it. And he adds that this antique coin can cost from 100,000, and Tan happily thinks that this way he will be able to pay for medical expenses. She says that given the layer and shape, it should be her. But there are many types of Kangxi Tongbao, and their prices vary. Tan asks what about this particular one, and she replies that it is a double currency, slightly larger than the Xiaoping currency, and the model is relatively rare. And he adds that it is better for him to send to the auction company. They have experts who will help identify it. They will tell the cost and arrange an auction. Tan asks if it will take a long time. She replies, from the preparation to the auction, there are certain processes that take 2 to 3 months. He says it is not suitable, too slow, and asks if there are other places where they can determine the cost. She remembers and answers because he helped Uncle Hai with his illness. Why not ask him to evaluate the coin? Tan agrees and goes to him. Uncle Hai happily says that it is Shu Tianqi. Tang, in bewilderment, asks, who is Shu Tianqi? He explains that Shu Shohui, the leader of the Red Scarf Army, established political power and created these coins, now considered one of the 50 treasures. He adds that considering the size of the coin, it is very rare, so he congratulates him. It is a very good find. This coin is part of the collection of ancient coins. Tan rushes to ask how much it will cost. He is not sure about the exact price. If he passes it to the auction, the initial price will be 30,000, the maximum price will be at least 100,000. Tan pleadingly says that he urgently needs money, is afraid that he will not be able to wait for the auction. Besides, he does not know where to sell it. The uncle replies that it's not easy, but he has a lot of friends who collect old coins. Tan immediately thanks him. Later in the day, Mr. Long arrives, and uncle says that he would like to buy it to Shu Tianqi for 150,000. Tan happily asks 150 again and thinks, even if he sold at auction, he wouldn't get that much money. My uncle adds that Mr. Lone is a big businessman and that he collects the 5 ancient treasures of Duquesne. Long says that this is indeed the Shu Tianqi that he wanted, although it is rusty in some places. But it looks good overall, and asks if it's okay for him to pay by writing out a check and handing over the check. Tan replies as he feels comfortable. Lon thanks Tan for such a beautiful antique coin. Tan replies that in fact, he is very grateful. He also helped him a lot. Lin asks Tang if he bought this coin from Jade Street this morning, and he confirms it, saying that he cleaned it of rust and found it to be valuable. Uncle Tang asks if Shu Tianqing bought it for just 200 wen, Lin confirms, and says that Mr. Hu's store adds that most of the goods have no value. He did not expect that Tan will be able to find a precious thing there and thinks that he should buy all the bronze coins. Maybe there are still some more. Tan immediately stops him and says that the others are not so good and have almost no value. Lin asks how he knows, and he says he just assumed. And he thinks to himself, he's looked at every item so he can't let Lin waste his money. Later in the hospital, the doctor asks in shock how Tan collected the money he borrowed from someone so quickly. Tan replies that he did not borrow. He has a business. He was able to earn so much on it. Here are 500 wen for the operation and for the payment of all subsequent drugs. The doctor happily praises Tan for being able to raise so much money in such a short time without borrowing from anyone. Tan hurriedly says that he can transfer the money to him at any time and asks for help to put a request for his father's operation first. He replies that he will try, but he can't guarantee that many patients here need a kidney transplant, so he should be prepared psychologically. Tan wanted to let his father and daughter-in-law know that he had news after coming in, but he is met by Professor Wang, who looks at her in surprise and muses that she's here to learn the details of a detox recipe. Sitting down, she asks if he has figured out how to solve the problem. Tan replies that he has already collected the entire amount to pay for the operation. She asks in surprise so quickly and adds, so he found a way, she's happy for him. Tan thanks her. But now, even though he collected 500,000 wen, there are many patients in the hospital who need kidney transplants, and some of them have good connections. So, it will be very difficult for him to get this operation, and grabbing his hand, says that if he helps them, then their hospital will use all the connections for him. And even if he gets an operation, he will need to pay for subsequent treatment and medications. Tan withdraws his hand and says that he already has a decision on this, but whether he will get the operation depends on luck. She says he has a prescription on hand that doesn't do any good, but once he shares it with the hospital, they can cure many patients. Tan says the Chinese doctor refused to give the prescription, but said he would cooperate if possible. And she asks how about such a plan, and says that as soon as she helps with the operation, he will help them with the treatment of patients when asked. She is about to leave and says that she will talk to the head doctor. The next day, Tang tells Miss Fu that he will leave for a while, go to a Chinese pharmacy. She understands that he wants to find medicine for Uncle Hai. Tan replies that he just finished work for today. He wants to prepare medicine as soon as possible. She says that she thinks that he can become a doctor and open his own pharmacy. Now there are many people who are sick and worried about their health. Tan sadly replies that he doesn't have the qualifications to open a pharmacy or anything like that. Arriving at the pharmacy, the pharmacist turns to Tan, asks him if he wants to buy more medicines and asks him to wait a little. These 2 customers also came for medicines. Tan replies that no problem, let them be the first. Watching Devoy, the voice says that the man has a pale face, his eyes are covered with a blue tint. These are symptoms of chronic illness and exhaustion. The main function of the kidney is the growth and development of the reproductive function. Those who have kidney failure must eat. Zhuangqi pills are needed for treatment. Yitang thinks that this man has serious kidney failure. No wonder his face is so terrible. The pharmacist asks the man what medicine he will take this time and whether it is indicated in the prescription. The one giving the sheet says that he brought a prescription from a doctor. This is a secret prescription. Tan sees the recipe and says it's not the right one, so Tan irritably asks what he said. Tan replies that he just thinks the prescription was wrong for you. The latter asks if he is a doctor. Tan says no, and the latter aggressively asks why he doubted this prescription at the time. He paid $1,000 for this secret prescription. An old Chinese doctor with many years of experience gave it to him, and he says that it will not cure. Tan says that he may be wrong, but his kidney is failing and abruptly stops talking, realizing that he has said too much. The pharmacist says that Tan is right. This prescription is wrong. It will cure only a mild form of kidney disease and it will be difficult to collect medicines according to this prescription. The man says that he may not know, but the doctor who gave him this prescription has a lot of experience. The pharmacist asks if he remembers the mass poisoning that happened a couple of days ago. The man replies that he has information that they were cured by a mysterious old doctor, and this secret prescription was written out by this very doctor. The pharmacist says that he should think twice before doing anything, and assumes that the person who gave him this prescription is an imposter. He calmly says, "Just bring him these medicines." The pharmacist still agrees, and Tan thinks that this fat man knew exactly what happened that day. It seems that someone gave away the secret. Later, while preparing the medicine, Tang thinks to himself, this is his first pill that he prepared himself, and hopes that it will be successful. Now he needs to mix boiled honey and medical powder in a certain ratio. If you add it in the wrong ratio, the tablet will not work. Then rolling out the dough, he thinks, now you need to cut it symmetrically into strips with a knife. And he rolls the medicine into round pieces. All he has to do is form it into one round honey tablet, and it will be ready. With a sigh of relief, he says that he is finally done, and when the pills are dry, he will take them to Uncle Hai. Suddenly, his stomach rumbles loudly, and he notices that it's already 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he needs something to eat. Someone outside asks if there is anyone here. Tan guesses that it is Tao's sister. He answers her opening that he is here. She says she saw him come back from the window this morning, so she knew he was inside. Tan confirms that he came back in the morning and didn't go out again, then asks if she came to collect the rent, and adds that he will soon be rich, asking to give him a couple more days. She replies that she told him he didn't have to pay rent and asks if there is anything else he can do to help. And smelling the smell of medicines, he asks what he was doing in the room just now. He was preparing medicines here. Tan confirms and says that he prepared it for an old friend. She asks in surprise, did he do everything himself, and regrets that he had to leave the university and the profession of a doctor. He calmly replies that he is happy with the current profession. In any case, he can still make medicines and sell them. Miss Tao agrees, saying that gold always glows. He can make medicine, also don't worry about rent. Now the most important thing is to cure his father. After she leaves, he thinks that although Sister Tao looks formidable, she is actually a very kind girl and quite beautiful. As soon as he closes the door, there's a sudden shout and he hurriedly runs out asking her what's wrong. She is sitting on the floor, says that she slipped and fell, her lower back hurts, is afraid that it is broken. He comes over and holds her up to help her, but he can't help but stare at her. She notices his gaze, angrily shouts at what he is looking at. She asked for help instead of just looking at her, and she screams that her leg is hurting. Tan asks if she has twisted her leg and asks to let him take a look. Tan says it shouldn't be a problem and decides to take her home and examine her leg. If she wants, he will take her to the hospital, but it hurts when he tried to lift her up. He decides he'd rather carry her on his back and tells her to get in, and she apologizes for bothering him. Holding her leg, he is embarrassed to realize that she is so close to him. Pushing away such thoughts, he convinces himself that it is important to think only about her trauma now. He asks if there is anyone at her house, and she says there is no one, and the key is in her back pocket. Tan asks again where the key is, and she says again that it's in her back pocket. It should be there. By accident, it touches the wrong place, and she indignantly points out that the key is slightly higher and to the left. Finally, he pulls out the key and thinks that he had no intention of using it. When he arrives at her house, he lets her sit on the sofa and offers to check her leg. When Tan looks at her legs, the voice says that the girl has a bruised leg. There is a swelling. There is no fracture. He can just apply ointment. Those who get it often use patches. Skin patches are the creation of Tieguili, one of the 8 immortals. An ointment on the affected part of the body reduces swelling and pain. Tan says it's fine. Thankfully, the wound isn't that serious. When he asks if he can examine her lower back, she confusedly agrees. Tan adds that you should not be embarrassed. If your lower back is fine, then you don't have to worry. Otherwise, you need to go to the hospital as soon as possible. She lifts her dress in agreement, and Tan tells her that it's just a small bruise. And she asks you to bring safflower oil and apply it to the wound. It helps well. Tan thinks that in addition to this oil, he also needs a patch and rhubarb. He should go to the Chinese pharmacy again. Later, the pharmacist sees Tan, is surprised that he came back so soon, and asks if he needs medication, which he laughingly confirms. Back on the road, he reflects that although his eyes helped with the recipe, none of the auxiliary ingredients were specified, and the exact stages of purification were not mentioned. He's had to figure it out for himself, and he's worried about whether he'll be able to dress the wound himself. While preparing the medicine, he thinks that he will try to make a regular dressing. It will help for a while. He needs to heat safflower oil over high heat. As soon as the oil is warmed up, pour the powder into a saucepan and mix it thoroughly with the oil. Then drains the excess oil, leaving the medical mixture with impurities. I should filter this mixture, but he could not control the temperature. Leave the mixture with impurities, so it will not lose its medicinal properties. Taking the bottle, he thinks that everything is ready for dressing, and hopes that it will help, as stated in the recipe. and he goes down the stairs to Sister Tao's house and knocks on her door, calling for her. A strange man opens the door and asks if Tan is looking for someone. He replies that he is looking for Tao's sister and asks if she is home. When she hears this, she asks if it's Zhao Tang, who comes in and confirms that it's him and asks if she's okay. She replies, how can she be okay falling down the stairs? It seems she will have to go to the hospital. The man tells her that her wound is quite serious. If they don't treat the bruise and swelling in time, it will be more difficult to treat the wound. They have to go to the hospital. She introduces Tanu that this is her friend Jiang Tao, who is an attending physician at the Central Hospital specializing in surgery, and introduces Jiang Tao that this is Xiao Tang. He is a great son and doctor. He came to Lanzhou with his father to cure his illness. Tao doubtfully asks about the gorgeous son, but immediately dismisses it, telling Xiao Tao to just go with him to the hospital. Tan, hearing this, abruptly says, wait, he brought medicine for her. It will reduce the inflammation and swelling. He is sure that it will heal her wound. She immediately asks what medicine he brought. He just made it. Tan explains that he made it for her. This medicine will help to remove bruises and other injuries. She happily agrees to try the medicine he has prepared for her. Jiang Tao grabs Tang's hand and asks him what he's doing and what kind of medicine it is. Tan replies that it is an ointment with painkillers, made according to a Chinese recipe to treat swelling and bruising. He says it looks like shit and also smells disgusting, and asks if it's not a skin patch. Tan replies that he really guessed right. It's a type of skin patch. Jiang Tao says he admits that it's a skin patch and still wants to use it. This patch is very harmful to people. Traditional medicine has long been erased. Tan retorts that if he thinks that traditional medicine is useless, then he doesn't want to listen to him. He is a doctor, so he is biased. More than 5,000 years ago, people used this medicine, and asks if he remembers mass poisoning, how they were able to cure patients. He is surprised to ask how he knows about the mass poisoning a couple of days ago. Tan replies by asking how he knows what's going on inside the hospital, and replies that the news has already spread for a long time, and he's not the only one who knows about it. And coming up to Tao says, apply medicine, although the ointment is slightly different, it should heal her wound. She, agreeing, puts out her foot and asks for help to apply it. And Tan begins to smear the medicine on a band-aid and sticks it to her leg. After that, she thanks him for his help and says that after this ointment, she feels better. Tan informs her that there is still half of it left. He wants to leave her here and asks her to apply the ointment again tomorrow, and he will go. But she suddenly stops him and says he was busy but still made this ointment. She has to pay for it. Tan refuses to answer that she has already helped with the rent. She says that if the ointment really helps and cures her, then he cannot pay for the next month's rent. Tang thinks in surprise, 1 month's rent is worth 1,000 yuan, so this ointment is equivalent to 1,000 yuan. He wants to say something to her, but she says, don't worry, it's worth it, and thanks her with a small smile. Then, he goes to Uncle Hao, who asks if he has already prepared medicine for him. Tang nods and shows the pills. Lin asks if he made these pills himself and why they look like animal droppings. He admits that they don't look great because they aren't covered with a special film, but just because they look weird doesn't mean they won't help. Lin agrees with him. The uncle says that he is sure of the medicine that Tang brought. Tan, handing over the package, instructs, take 1 pill twice a day and check the condition every week. The uncle asks how much he should pay for these pills. Tan replies that he will not take the money from him. He will be happy if they help him. After going to the hospital, Tang thinks he only has 500,000 yuan left for a kidney transplant, so he's broke again. But it's worth it. Later, Tang meets Lin, who grabs his hand and hurries him to go after him. They really need his help, and he asks in disbelief what is going on. Lin replies that Tang is indeed a genius doctor. Uncle Hai has not been able to cure his illness for decades. His medicine has greatly improved his condition. Tang confusedly says that Lin is flattering him how he can be a genius doctor and realizes that it looks like those pills worked. Lin confesses that he wanted to ask him to treat his grandfather. His grandfather has been ill for a year, and they have been to the doctors so many times, but all to no avail. Finally, he met Tan, a genius doctor, and asks to go with him to the house and cure him. If he can cure him, he will be so grateful to him. Tan replies that he doesn't know if he can cure his grandfather at all, and thinks if he needs an ingredient that he can't find, he won't be able to help. But Lin still asks to see his grandfather. Tang still agrees. Yilin wants to go with him, as Uncle Hai is waiting there. When he arrives, his uncle tells Tan that the pills he gave him yesterday helped him. He only took 2 pills, and his liver almost doesn't hurt anymore. Tan answers, so the pills have already worked. He needs to continue the course of treatment. Let him take a couple more days and monitor his condition. Uncle thanks for the medicine and holding out the box, asks to be allowed to give him something. Tan asks in surprise what it is, and he replies, open and see. When he opens it, he sees the statue and asks if it is jade, and the uncle replies that he gives him this jade Buddha. It brings good luck and gives security. Lin notices that this jade Buddha is unusually bright and probably carved from a new type of jade. Uncle confirms, and says that he asked Lao Fan to carve pendants out of it. Tan immediately refuses to accept such a valuable gift. Uncle insists, saying that no matter how expensive it is, because health is more expensive. He gave him medicine, nothing compares to it. Tang didn't charge for it. so let him consider this gift as his gratitude. Lin also convinces Tang not to doubt that this is a gift from his uncle from the bottom of his heart. In the end, Tan accepts the gift and thanks his uncle with a bow. In the car, Lin tells Tan that the jade his uncle gave him is very good. It's Hessian jade. Tang suggests that it should be expensive, Lin confirms, and adds that it is difficult to find such a jade now, and this jade Buddha will cost 10,000. Tang is shocked to say that it's so valuable, but Lin adds that it's still worth a lot less than treating Uncle Hai's illness. They drive up to the gate after a while and Lin says it's his house, and he asks for help. His grandfather is at home. He is very ill and the whole family is worried about him. They are met by a girl and rejoices at the return of her brother and asks if he does not need to work. But immediately noticing the guest falls silent after Lin introduces them to each other and asks if she knows if Grandpa is asleep or already awake. If he is awake, then she will take Tan to him. She replies that he is already awake and tells him to go with her to the stairs. They go upstairs and visit Grandpa, who asks Lin if he's back. Lin replies that he brought a friend. He knows Chinese medicine and is very good at creating medicines, so he invited him to see him. Tan greets his grandfather, who thanks him for coming as a doctor, but sadly adds that it is impossible to cure. This disease is incurable. Tan is surprised that he is so sure that he has an incurable disease and concludes that he has a serious illness. Not like Uncle Hai, Lin, consoling grandfather, says that now technology is so advanced that no matter how serious the disease is, it can be cured. And looking pleadingly at Tan, he asks him to help his grandfather and examine him. Tan asks his grandfather to let him check his pulse and feels a vein in his arm. The voice says that the man has a pale complexion. His tongue has become dark, symptoms of stomach problems, weak veins. The only way to use a panacea, it will ease the pain. Tan reflects, Grandpa has stomach problems, one of the most serious diseases, stomach cancer. Fortunately, the divine doctor has a recipe for medicinal soup that is a painkiller for cancer patients. After taking his hand off the pulse, Lin hurriedly asks how he is. Tang suggests that we go out and talk there. Grandpa, objecting, says that there is no need for this. If Tan has something to say, let him speak directly. He knows his illness very well. Lin nods, and Tan assumes that his grandfather has stomach cancer. Lin, shocked, asks Tang so easily identified it, and grandfather also says that he didn't know his medical history, determined that he had cancer. Tan replies that after examining him and taking his pulse, he assumed that he had cancer. Grandfather admits that Lin was right. He's pretty good. He found out about the cancer at the last stage. He was told that he would live for a maximum of 6 months, but he's already been alive for 2 years. Tan replies that this is because he has an incredible will. Many patients have miraculously been cured of late-stage cancer. He is sure that he will also have. The old man replies that he is afraid that he won't be able to. He has struggled all these years, but now he really wants to see Yang Wang Laozi. Lin asks Tan if it can be cured, and Tan replies that there is a cure and he can try it. Lin immediately asks to give them this medicine or prescription. They will take care of it themselves, so he will not be at a loss. Tan, stopping, says that the preparation of medicine is more difficult. He will brew it and bring it as soon as it is ready, although he does not know if it will help, but he will try his best. Lin happily thanks him and relies on him completely. Then Tan comes to the pharmacy again and asks for a couple of these ingredients. Preparing the medicine, he thinks to himself that this time it will be enough to make a medicinal decoction. It is better than pills. When it was finally ready, he hurries to the line to give it before dark. After all, a person's life depends on it and cannot be postponed. Suddenly, on the way, he meets those hooligans who molested Miss Fu in the store and asks what they are doing here. One of them replies that it's time to pay Leija's medical bill. He's here to remind him and ask if he's ready to pay. Tan claims that he doesn't owe him anything. It's Leija who has to pay for the medicine. Then the hooligans surround him, asking if Tan wants what they should pay him. It looks like he doesn't want to live at all. And they know that he recently placed a bet on the Emerald Stone. This stone is worth at least 300,000 wen. That guy says that Leija ordered me to pay with a jade stone. Tan replies that he doesn't want to. Hitting Tan, they ask what he just said. He didn't understand who it is. Then he falls and they decide to beat him harder and start kicking him from all sides, saying that they will check how strong his bones are. The guy notices his bag and asks what kind of bag he's carrying, and Tan shouts, "Don't touch it." He thought that there was something interesting there, but it's just a vessel with a decoction, and throws the vessel away. The vessel breaks. They finally say that this is the last warning. If he does not pay back the debt, next time, he will fall to the ground. Then he desperately goes to Lin, who sees him and asks if the medicine is ready. Tan apologizes and says that he had already prepared it and was already bringing it here, but he didn't expect this to happen. After Lin furiously asks where they are now, he will find them immediately as Lei Biao how dare to attack him. The uncle notices that Ryu Xuan's son is really a bully. Lin replies that he always relies on the influence of his family, but this time he attacked his friend. His uncle shouts after him to calm down and not go to Ryu Xuan. Tan agrees with his uncle that if he acts hastily, he will not be able to deal with them. Because this is their territory, he asks, should he leave everything like this? Tang says that Leija wanted his jade, so he will pretend that he is going to pay the debt and they will come for him, and once they come, Lin will deal with them. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Tan is waiting for the hooligans while sipping tea. Finally, they arrive, and Leja says with a grin that Tang has decided to give up the jade and seems to have realized his situation. Tan suggests they sit down, and then he lays out the rock they wanted. But Leja quickly realizes that Tang is trying to deceive him, and angrily shouts that he wants to slip a fake stone. The next moment, the door slams shut and everyone jumps up and asks, "Who is it?" They see Brother Hao, and he doesn't hesitate to rush forward, slamming Leja with a swing. Leji falls to the floor, the other shouts out in shock what he's doing. Lin swings the belt in response and asks what they're doing themselves, and angrily asks Tan who broke the medicine jar, who points at the guy and says that it's him. Lin mercilessly starts whipping the guy with the belt, who begs him to stop. Leja, shocked, asks why Lin hit him, and Lin replies that he will not only beat him, but destroy him, and shouts how he dared to hit a person close to him, who replies that he in no way intended to harm him. Lin says, ask this guy what he did. Tang's medicine for his grandfather was destroyed by him. Leji turns around and asks the guy if he really did it, and the guy replies that he didn't know whose medicine it was. Leja grabs him by the collar and violently reproaches him for daring to touch the Hao family's item. Lin orders them to stop and asks, now that the jar is broken and this has affected his grandfather's treatment, what should they say? 3 of them, lowering their heads, ask for forgiveness and assure that they did not want to offend him. Leja puts down the money, says that there is money for the medicine, and asks to forgive them this time. Lin replies that Tang is like a little brother to him, and from now on, if they dare to harm him again, he won't stand by. He replies that he understands everything and then quickly leaves. Tang is surprised that Lin looks calm and kind, but he can fight so well. From his strength and technique, you can see that he has practiced a lot. Lin says that the Lei Biao family guys are really terrible. He taught them a lesson. See if they dare to repeat it. And turning to Tanu, he asks not to be afraid of them, adding that he will not forgive them if they dare to harm him again. Tang thanks him for his help. Lin says it's nothing and tells him to take the money that Lei Biao left behind. Before leaving, Tan asks Lin if he has ever done kung fu before, and Lin replies that when he was in the army, he did boxing and kung fu, but only superficially. And a year ago he retired and is engaged in antiques. The next day, Tang again prepares the broth and brings it to Lin. Mo suddenly calls him, asking him what he's been doing all these days, and if she remembers that he has a meeting today. He is horrified to realize that he has completely forgotten about the charity event at the school, and calmly tells her that of course he remembers. She asks if he is free this afternoon. Let him come to school, discuss everything. Tan agrees and thinks, even though the money is already collected, but they are so passionate, and they have been preparing this for so long, they have invested so much effort, it will be awkward if he refuses. Approaching the school, he remembers that he lived here for 3 or 4 years. Since then, so much has changed. He was afraid that he would never return here again. Entering one of the rooms, he sees his friends Chen Hu and He Xiangjun and calls out to them. They also recognize Tan immediately, and as they approach, they ask how he ended up here. Tan replies that he has come on business. He asks how his father's illness is. Tan replies that his condition is under control. There will be a kidney transplant operation soon. They were standing talking and Tan was about to say something when the door opens, and enter a group of people with Mo. Among them recognizes Director Zhao, head of Yang's. Tan asks what they are doing here, and one of them asks why Tan didn't come to them earlier. He adds that the university knows he has problems, and they will do everything possible to help him, and he will not have to drop out of university. Another says that if it wasn't for Mo, they would never have found out about it. In addition, he has good grades. If he gives it up, then all the effort invested will be in vain. Tan replies that he had to do this because his father was very ill. He had to take care of him. They unexpectedly report that they will help with his father's medical bills. One of them officially invites Tan back to the university for further studies, and due to his academic performance, they will recommend him to graduate school after graduation. His 2 friends look at each other in disbelief. The man says this is what the university offers and asks if the problem is solved now. Tan thanks him for this opportunity, but admits that he has forgotten most of the training material and is afraid that he is far behind. The other man replies that Miss Mo can help catch up on all the stuff he missed. Mo agrees and says that if he has any questions, let him ask her. He adds that the fundraising has actually ended, and they have already raised 71 for him. Tan is surprised and sincerely thanks them with a warm smile. The principal replies that they were happy to help. After all, he is a student at their university. How could they just stand by? When he asks when he will be back, Tan says that he hasn't decided whether to go to university yet. But anyway, he is very grateful to them. After thinks that if they had suggested earlier, he would have accepted. But with the divine doctor in his head and X-ray vision, there is no need to get a diploma. He hopes that he will think about it carefully, and if he has any problems, he can address them. Later, on the street, Mo informs Tan that in that mass poisoning incident, he used detox powder, and they found out about it. They became interested in Tan, and found out that he had dropped out of school, so they helped raise the amount for his father's expenses. They wanted to make a surprise. Tang understands that they were so enthusiastic when they found out about it, and the incident attracted the attention of the university, so if he returns, it will be good for them. Mo suddenly approaches and says that it's just the two of them here. Now he can tell who the old doctor is, who gave the prescription for that medicine. Tan apologizes, but he promised the doctor that he would never reveal his identity. She is upset and says that then she will not insist. In the store, she talks to Professor Wang on the phone and finds out that the head doctor has agreed, so he leaves the application for a kidney transplant to her. She adds that if he decides to go back to university, he can do an internship at the Central Hospital, and after finishing, he can work there. Tan replies that he still thinks. Suddenly, someone calls Tan. He apologizes to the professor and says that it's time for him to go to work, responding to the call. It turns out to be Miss Chen, Lin, and Erxiong, and she's glad to see him, so she goes over to him. Tan wonders why she is here. Is it because of him? And asks why she is here. Does she need something? She replies that she came to thank him for that day. Tan asks her again, perplexed, what exactly she wants to thank him for. Erxiong replies that he helped her choose a jade that she later bet on. She also adds that when she opened it, it turned out to be a beautiful jade, so she came to thank him. Tan, remembering, says that he has already forgotten about him. He only helped a little. She doesn't need to thank him so much. She asks when he finishes work, if he is free, she would like to invite him to dinner as a thank you. Tan hurriedly tries to refuse, but she makes flirtatious eyes at him. Unable to resist, he still agrees and says that he will soon close the store. They come to a small cafe, sit down at a table and order food. She asks me how long she's been doing this, and I must have bet on a lot of rocks. Tan replies that if he says he started betting less than a month ago, she won't believe him. She gives him a sly look and says she really won't believe it. Suddenly, she clutches her stomach and hurries off to the bathroom. Tan thinks to himself that it looks like she has a pain in her stomach, and it's because of some illness. A few minutes later, she comes back and Tan asks if she's okay, and she says she's fine. Tan says that a healthy person should not have a stomach ache. She should have a chronic illness. It should not be postponed. She skeptically asks how he found out. Is he a doctor? Tan replies that he knows a little medicine. Judging by her condition, it can be said that her illness is at an early stage, and it will not be difficult to treat it. She confirms that these pains have recently started. She did not think that the disease could become so complicated. Tan suggests that if she trusts him, he can advise on Chinese medicine. She happily replies that of course she trusts him, and will pay for this medicine. Tan replies that no need, he will give the medicine for free. As he prepares the pills, she can pick them up. She thanks him in advance. Back at the store, Tang sees Miss Fu looking at the jugs, and asks why she is here so late. She says she went out to get some things and recently came back. Tang asks if it was her who brought the 2 jars. She replies that they are for storing bird food, and Emperor Xuande of the Ming Dynasty used them. They depict blue and white birds in the style of Xuande time. 5 years ago, the initial price was 700,000, and at the end was sold for 12 million. Tan marvels at how expensive they are and asks how much she bought them for. She replies that she negotiated with the boss all day and sold them to her for 800,000. Her father also likes such small antiques, and she wants to give them to him for his birthday. Tan replies that he will definitely like it. But then he suddenly notices that something is wrong with these jugs. She asks what's wrong, and Tan says, as far as he can remember, the jug should have the word D in the middle of the picture, but it's not here. She says that during the Ming Dynasty, the word D was written in this way, so a line in the middle is not a problem. Those who made a fake usually wrote a vertical line. Tang awkwardly realizes that she is right. Miss Fu says that he has recently started doing this, so it is normal that he was wrong. But just in case, he decides to check it out with X-ray vision. He still notices that if you take a closer look with his vision, you can see that one jug is completely different. There is a big difference between them. And he asks her where she got those bird jugs. She replies that she bought it from a man who recently opened an antique shop called Nabaoxuan. He asks her if she knows the owner of this store and how she found out that he has them. She says that she is not quite familiar with it. A friend told her about it, that the owner has a pair of jugs. She immediately went to see it and asked if he could sell them, and anxiously asks if he thinks something is wrong with them. Tan says he's not sure, but thinks it's best to take them to an expert for a detailed examination. And pointing to one of the jugs, he adds, especially carefully, it is better to examine this jug. The next day they come to Uncle Hai, and he examines them carefully. And he says that in general, this vessel is of good quality. It seems to be the work of Time Shu. Miss Fu turns to Tang and asks if he heard what Uncle Hai said, that they are fine, and if there are still doubts. Tan passes one of the jugs and asks his uncle to take another look at it. As my uncle points the light at it, he notices that this jug has a different color in the light, but otherwise it doesn't look any different from the pair. Lin wants to take a look too. He confirms that his uncle is right. This vessel is not as bright as the second one and does not seem to be a pair of the first one. Miss Fu asks in shock, how is this possible? The uncle says that he has a friend who collects such small antiques and suggests asking him to come and help. She agrees and asks to call an expert to check it out. After a while, a friend of my uncle's comes and examines it, saying that this vessel was made in the middle of the Qin dynasty, but it was made in an ordinary furnace. Miss Fu is surprised and upset to see that he is right. The man adds that at least one of them is fake, The other is really good. He collects porcelain antiques. If she wants to sell it, he would buy it. She asks for forgiveness and says that she is not selling it, but he replies that then he will not insist. Seeing how upset Miss Fu was, Tang was about to suggest something, but she suddenly cries out with tears that all this happened because of her greed. Lin says that now it is quite easy to sell the item in a set, but later it turns out that it is a fake and asks how she found out about this antique. She says that she was told that Mr. Zhou, the owner of the Nabaoxuan store, has a pair of jugs. First, he showed one, and after the transaction, he brought the second one. Right now, the blue and white porcelain of Zhuanda's time is very popular. A pair of such jugs cost at least 1,000,000 yuan, but he said that he would sell for 800,000 yuan. Lin sharply asks why she went shopping at the Nabaoxiang store. Doesn't she know what people say about the Zhou family? About the father and his son? Father and son, both deceivers, they use any tricks to deceive and are very smart. Tang remembered and asked, Zhou family, is this the same son whose name was Zhou Xiaobing? Lin confirms that the one who lost to Tang, he told him to be careful because he would want revenge. Tang anxiously thinks that maybe they cheated on Miss Fu because of him. Maybe Xiaobing wanted revenge in this way. Miss Fu, hearing that they are scammers, gets upset, as he was kind and didn't look like a bad person. Lin explains that when he brought the first jug it was real, but when it got dark outside, he showed her the second one and she wanted to get them faster, so he took advantage of it. She recalls that when she was looking at the second jug, the power suddenly went out, the voltage was unstable and the light was dim. Lin knows that the incident with the blackout was definitely his father's doing, so she should have found out more about the vendor first, or else she should have gone with Uncle Hai. Tan tells her to make a refund immediately, otherwise contact the police. Lin replies that Tang still doesn't know most of the rules. Buying a fake can only be blamed on your eyesight. After all, the fact that the antiques are real is just a verbal promise. Miss Fu, leaving, says she will go home and tells Tan to take care of the store. She won't be in the store for the next 2 days. Then, Uncle Hai also says that he will go and says that they will see each other tomorrow. Lin also wanted to follow his uncle out, but Tan suddenly stops him, asking him to stay for a couple of minutes. When they are alone, Lin asks Tang what he wanted to say, and Tang replies that Xiaobing and his father cheated on Miss Fu, and he doesn't think they should leave it at that. Lin asks how he will get the money back. The real jug must still be in their possession. Maybe he will send someone to sell it to him for a high price or something like that. Tang asks how much Miss Fu paid, and Tang replies that if they are auctioned off as a couple, they will bid 1,000,000 yuan minimum price. If they sell one at a time, they'll each sell 400,000, so Tang will lose 500,000. Tang says it's too cruel and thinks that even though Miss Fu isn't poor, it doesn't mean that she can spend 500,000 to fake it. Lin adds that if this pair was sold at auction for 1,000,000, not counting commissions, they will eventually receive from 800,000 to 900,000. Tan says thoughtfully that there must be a way to teach them a lesson, like getting all the money back. An idea comes to him and he whispers to Lin, who replies that it will be wonderful. Tan says that now they need to find someone who will play along with them in this show. Lin says that he will ask his friends, according to their plan, the actor should play his role perfectly. While Lin is on the phone, Tang thinks that since they won't return the money, then they will teach them a lesson in the same way and pay them back. When Lin says that he has made an agreement with a friend, he is not connected with the antiques business, so Xiaobing and his father don't know him for sure. Tan says he should be asked to play the role of a rich collector who wants to open a private museum and is looking for antiques, especially Ming-era blue and white porcelain. Since the pair of jugs are very expensive, he will definitely come to them to pick up their jug. They will find a way to pick up their jugs. Lin asks if he can call the Zhou family when their man is ready. Tang says, no need. Tang explains that to be believable, he must be the first to enter the store, pick out a few antiques so that the Zhou family will decide that this is a rich man and start cheating themselves. 2 days later, a man comes to Tanu's shop and asks if he likes antiques. And opening the box, asks to take a look at item 2, showing the jugs, says they are incredible. Tang immediately knows that Lin was right. The Zhou family wants to sell another pair of these jugs. One of them is fake and the other is real. And when he asks how much it costs, he says 700,000 yuan. Tan asks for 100,000 to sell. He grumbles and takes away his goods, saying that Tan does not understand. Tang then asks if they still want to deceive people, but he already knows what they will do. Then another one comes and says he heard they have a blue and white jug of Shuandi time that he would like to buy. Tan calmly replies that he will sell it for 1,000,000, and he also leaves muttering that he is crazy. Then, on the phone, Linya asks if everything is going according to plan and someone has already suspected. After finishing the call, he thinks that everything is going as it should. Later, 2 men appear and Tan sees them and thinks it must be him. And when greeting them, he asks them if they need something, and solemnly notes to himself that the performance begins. He immediately asks his boss, Miss Fu is in the store right now. Tan replies that she's not here and won't be for a while, they can ask him. He runs the store while she's gone. He says in surprise that he has important things to discuss with her, but she's not here. Tan replies that if there is something important he can tell him, he will pass it on to her. He says she recently bought a couple of jugs. He would like to talk to her and see if she can return them to them. He will pay more if she is against it. Tang remembered and asked if he was referring to the blue and white jars of Xuande time. So he was the owner of the Naboxuan store, Joji. He confirms that it is him and asks if the jugs are still in the store. Tang replies that they are here. Miss Fu specially ordered them, and if someone wants to buy them, the price should be appropriate. He agrees, saying that she paid 800,000 for this pair. He will return the entire amount and an additional 10,000 yen. Tan apologizes and says that the difference between its price and the one she wants to sell for is large, so she can't sell them, and thinks to herself that 10,000 is too little. He asks in surprise how much she wants to sell for. Tan firmly replies that for 1 million. He asks in surprise when it managed to rise in price so much, from 800,000 to 1 million, which is 200,000 more. Tang explains that this jug was used during the time of Emperor Xuande, and it is also made by a furnace from that time, so it is inherently valuable. The man grudgingly agrees, and Tan thinks he can't say it's not worth the money. Joe objects that the price is too high after all. It didn't cost so much when she bought from him, and suggests waiting for her, and maybe the price will drop. Tan agrees, says that he will call her then, and he gratefully replies that he will wait. Pretending to call her, Tan begins to explain the situation. After that, Joe says that she said the minimum price is 900,000 and will not negotiate a lower price. He still agrees to buy them for 900,000 won, and thinks that the offered price was 1.5 million. Even if he buy it for 1 million, will get 500,000. Enthusiastically adds that he will write a check if everything is in order. Tan goes to bring them, asks to wait, and thinks to himself that the job is done. Joe examines them, making sure that this one is real and the other is a fake that he put in. And he wanted to write a check, but Tan stops him, suggesting that for a guarantee, immediately go to the bank to finish the payment. He laughs and asks. He still doesn't believe him and agrees. Tan thinks that he really can't let this go. Arriving at the bank while Joe was making the payment, Tong S scoffs at Joe's, thinking they wouldn't find a place, and quickly replaces the jug. Joshua says that the payment is completed. Now Tan can give them to him, and he gives them back with a smile. He suddenly wants to take another look at them, and Tan panics as he realizes that he will recognize them. As he starts to quickly dial Lin, Joe suddenly gets a call. He says on the phone that he will come soon and tell him to wait, and throws Tanu that he will go first and thanks him. Later, Tang calls Lin and asks how it went. He responds like clockwork. As soon as Joe arrived, their people pointed out the fake, and not only refused to buy, but also scolded him. Adds that Joe was so upset and so offended, and he was outside the door watching how he was humiliated. Tan is glad that the old trickster finally got what he deserved. Meanwhile, Zhou Xiaobin is furious and assumes that this is the guy's trick. His father didn't think that the guy would be so cunning and trick them by slamming the table, saying that they should take revenge on him and return the money. The son says that the guy's name is Tang Qian, and he has already insulted the Lei family. Later he goes to Lei and tells them, and finds out if he can deal with Tang. Soon, Xiaobin hurries to Lei, calling him, meets him on the doorstep. Lei asks if he is in a hurry to go somewhere. He replies that something serious happened. Tan sold fake goods, swindled them and lied, also took 1 million, and asks if he owed Lei any money. Lei asks if this is true. He assures that of course it is true. How would he lie to him? Unexpectedly, Lei slaps him in the face, shouting that he cheated on him last time. He falls to the floor, and Lei adds that he was the one who said that Tang had the best quality jade, so he tricked him and offended Lin Zihao. The latter, holding the place of the slap in the face, plaintively replies that he did not lie to him. Lei says not to involve him in their affairs, and did not think that he would do something for him, tells not to forget that he is a deceiver himself. Xiaobin wanted to protest, but he furiously shouts, "Get lost!" Tang then calls Miss Fu and wonders why she's not answering. She hadn't been in the store for several days, and he wanted to tell her the good news. He decides that he should check it out for himself and goes to Uncle Hai's place, being sure that he knows her address, so he will go and find out in person. Arriving at the address, he suddenly finds out that she was hospitalized. Then he asks a woman which hospital she is in and thanks her, running away anxiously wondering what happened to her. Upon reaching the hospital, Tang finds Miss Fu, who is surprised to ask why he is here. Tan asks her not to get up, and she replies that it's not that serious at all. She just feels a little weak. Suddenly, a voice in my head says that the girl's face is pale, her voice is weak. This patient has a severe form of cold. You can just use yuan soup for treatment. And Tan understands that the cause is a severe form of cold. Since it is a cold, so everything will be fine. She also says that it's just a cold, although her health is not as strong as when she was young. Each time she carries it much harder than an ordinary person. But Tang understands that the real reason is that she was deceived by the Zhou family's father and son, which led her to this state. And taking out a jug, he asks her to look here. She asks in surprise where he got this vessel from. Tang replies that it's a real one. They returned the fake to Zhou. He paid them 900,000 for it, and that money is now on this card. Shocked, she clarifies that he means Mr. Zhou returned the money. Tang replies that he is a terrible cheater. How could he just give the money away? So he fell into their trap devised by him and Lin Zihao. She happily says that Tan is incredible. Now that they have helped restore justice, she feels so relaxed. But she can't accept this money. She already has a lot of money because Tan is the one who helped return it. So she will be happy if he keeps it for himself. Tan refuses, saying that they took her money after all, she offers. She will take the 800,000 she paid, but he will keep the rest for himself. And about the vessel, she wouldn't ask for that. She doesn't like it when people cheat like that, so he can take the vessel away. Later, Tang comes to Lin, who sees him and says that he was looking for him. He happily tells them that his medicine has helped his grandfather. He is getting better and promises that he will invite him to their house for dinner sometime. He says he's glad I was able to help him. By the way, he adds that Miss Fu refused to accept 100,000, and this vessel, in his opinion, was an important work done by Linny. Lin replies that Tang helped his grandfather. He is grateful to him. And how can he accept the money? He knows that Tang's family is in a difficult situation, so let him take it for himself, and asks what he will do with this vessel. Tan replies that he thinks to sell it. Lin says that he is not in a hurry to sell right away. He will contact him if he can find a good buyer, and Tan will sell at a good price. He thanks him. The next day, Miss Fu returns to the store, saying that she was gone for so many days and she missed him very much. Tan, meeting her in surprise, asks her that it is already better. She replies that after his visit, she became much better. After Tan asks who the elderly man is, she says that he is Uncle Gao, who once worked in their shop in Pinyin. He worked with her father for 30 years, and now he has come to help. Adds that he is an experienced appraiser of goods, especially good at evaluating antiques. Then she introduces Tang to her uncle, reminding him that she's already told him that he's a rising star in the business. Tan greets him, who says it's good, young and promising. Miss Fu turns to Tang. She wanted to ask him something. Tang specifies what it is. She replies that on that day, he immediately saw that something was wrong with one of the vessels, and she wonders how exactly he identified it from the very beginning. Tan hastily explains that he intuitively understood, so he offered to check it out. How could he know for sure? And he thinks to himself, how can he say that he has X-ray vision and could see that the edges of the fake porcelain look so much newer? She is skeptical that Tan seems too secretive and assumes that he is not new to this business, otherwise he would not have won with that stone. Tan replies that the truth is not hidden. Last time he was just very lucky, he has no experience or special skills at all. She still believes and assumes that he is probably very lucky. In their business, luck is very important. Remembering, she adds that Uncle Gao is currently looking after the store and asks if he will go with her to pick out antiques in the evening. Perplexed, he asks where they will go to pick out antiques, and she says Bao Yangjai's. On the way, she reveals that Mr. Yu's boss is Bao Yangjai, an antiques dealer without a permanent store who buys and sells things himself. Approaching the house, she calls Mr. Yu and asks if he is at home. The next moment, the door opens and they are met by a man inviting them to come in. After she asks if the things he said on the phone are still there, he confirms and says he was waiting for her to come. He jokingly asks to look at them, pointing to the antiques on the shelves, and asks how she feels. She says, "What's so good about them? They're just raw factory goods that don't have any collectible value." He laughs and says that her vision is just as incredible, just looking at them. She understood everything. Adds that all the good goods are behind her. But first he offers to look at this product. Last time she said that she would like this type of porcelain. He worked so hard to get it. When Miss Fu sees them, she happily says that they are pastel-colored porcelain, which looks pretty good at first glance. Mr. Yu adds that this porcelain was specially designed to look like what she wanted. If it turns out to be a fake, he will immediately replace it. Looking at it, she notes that the surface of the porcelain is rather thick, and the internal texture is also relatively old. Tan also looks at it and thinks it looks good, at least not fake. She goes on to say that these things during the Republic of China are modeled after the furnaces of past dynasties. He confirms this. But they belong to the people's furnace, and therefore the value is high. She wants to buy everything. He calls the price, a couple of 50,000, the other 8,000. She offers 40,000 for a pair, but he objects. They don't cost at least 50,000. And Tan thinks he doesn't know anything about that. Then Mr. Yu says that he called her today, not just to recommend this porcelain, but also to show her an incredible product. She asks what this antique is. He replies, "Just follow it." And opening the cabinet, she says that here is what he wants to show her, and asks to take a look. They are amazed to see china with a blue and white pattern. Mr. Yu tells her that it is real porcelain with a blue and white pattern, made from a real Qianlong furnace of the Qin dynasty. She and Tan ask again in surprise, but at this moment Mr. Yu gets a phone call. He apologetically says that he needs to answer it, but for now, let them look around. Yi walking away says on the phone that they are considering it. Teacher Joe can rest easy. This time she won't slip away from him. Adds that it is a porcelain replica of the famous Su Fang. With her eyesight, she will definitely recognize it, but will not be able to distinguish it. He warns that if she is with a guy named Tan, then let her be vigilant. This guy is cunning and quite smart. Mr. Yu replies with a grin that this guy is new, doesn't know much and doesn't have any experience, so just let him wait and they'll get the money. He reminds me that when it's all over, the money is divided in half. He replies that it's all right, because he brought such good news. Meanwhile, Tang looks at the vessel and thinks that at first glance it is very elegant and majestic. But suddenly he notices that everything is smooth and natural on the outside, but the surface is quite new on the inside. However, one-of-a-kind porcelain, unlike the pair of vessels where forgeries were immediately visible, in this case they cannot be compared. Miss Fu walks up to him and asks him what he thinks about this porcelain. Tan replies that he's not sure, since the lighting isn't very good. He can't see clearly, but he doesn't think there's anything wrong with it. She understands it, but this porcelain is really very good and she doesn't see the problem. She saw almost the same vessel sold for 3 million. But Tan notes that it was in a place where all the goods are authentic, but in their case it's hard to tell. Mr. Yu comes back and asks Miss Fu if everything is all right. She replies by asking if it can be moved. She can't see clearly in this room. He says she doesn't believe him. It will only take up both her and his time. He adds that in such a case, many people know about this porcelain vessel. Someone recently called him and wanted to buy it at a very good price, but he will sell it to her for only 1 million. Tang intervenes and asks them to wait a bit. It's a valuable antique after all, so they should think carefully before giving an answer. He is annoyed, asks if there are any problems with this porcelain, and says, "Do not talk nonsense if he does not understand." Miss Fu defends him by saying that Tang didn't say it out of malice. She will buy the set of china that he showed earlier and invite a friend to look at this vessel. He objects that this will not work. That set of porcelain goes along with this and nothing else. She is perplexed, says that he just recently named the price of those porcelain vases and now says that they are not for sale. He replies that in this case, either she buys them together or he will find another buyer. Does not think that I will not be able to find who would like this porcelain. Tan grabs his hand and says that people either buy it or they don't, and it's not worth buying such a thing. But Mr. Yu stops her and says that if she doesn't agree with something, they can discuss it all again. She tells Tan to wait for her here. She will listen to what he wants, but does not buy this vessel. Tan agreeing, asks not to accept his offers. Suddenly, Tan notices a red jar standing to one side, and after looking with his X-ray vision, he learns that a treasure is hidden in it. Hidden porcelain. The guy noticing Tan asks what he is doing and adds that all the things in this house are antiques, tells him not to touch anything. Tan replies that he is just looking. In the next moment, Miss Fu comes out, saying with displeasure that they are leaving, and approaching Tanu asks if there is something wrong with this pot. He replies that he wants to buy it, smooth and neat. She says that such things can be bought everywhere. It is used to store cucumbers and sauerkraut. Tan points out that this one is different from the ones that others sell, and since it's sold here, it could be an old antique. Upon hearing this, Mr. Yu reveals that it was used by his grandmother, and since he is here with Miss Fu, he will sell it to him at a discount of only 20,000. Miss Fu retorts that he himself said that this pot is for storing sauerkraut. Isn't it too expensive for non-antiques? He replies that antiques are not just things with a price tag. If the buyer wants to buy, then you can sell them. Tan says he'll buy it for 20,000, but on one condition. Mr. Yu asks, "Under what condition?" Tang replies, "Then he will sell the set of china that Miss Fu wanted." He thinks about it. Miss Fu says, "Don't do it, it's not worth it," but he stops her. And he says that in general, it is equivalent to buying that set with an increased price of 20,000. But sharply declares that they leave, that trying to stop speaks. Isn't angry. It after all, business. Tan stops and asks. Then he agrees. He says that he can take the pot. Back at the store, Miss Fu is happy that they finally have new products, and asks why he wanted this pot so much, adds that even though she bought that set, but overpaid a large amount. Tan replies that if he really overpaid his real value, then so be it. Meanwhile, Mr. Yu on the phone says that it didn't work and is afraid that if Miss Fu brings other people, he won't be able to deceive her, and confirms that he was right. Tan intervened, and when she liked that vessel, he convinced her not to buy and misled her. He adds with a grin that, however, Tan liked the cucumber storage pot and even bought it for 20,000 yuan. It just went along with the porcelain he gave him, even though its price was lower, but it still turned out to be a good deal. He tells him to keep watching. If it doesn't work, then let him think of another way. He replies that he understood Teacher Joe. Tan uses paint thinner, humming to himself as he applies it to the pot. And soon the porcelain begins to show under the paint, and Tan is convinced that he was right. Then he brings it to Miss Fu, who shudders and asks Tang to rate what kind of china it is and how much it costs. She is surprised to say that this is a porcelain tank. If it is genuine, you can get millions for it. Tan asks again about the name. She explains that it is because of its round top, which looks like a helmet. It is the most favorite antique collectors. He asks how she likes this porcelain tank and if it can be authentic. She replies that she is not sure, but it looks old. Once her family had a smaller one, which was sold for 1.5 million. The price of this one will definitely be higher. Hearing such an amount, he is shocked to think that this is a huge amount of money. She asks where he got it from, and Tan smiles and asks if she really doesn't know and says, "Take a closer look." She says how would she know? She's never met him before. And Tan says it's the painted pot he bought back then. Miss Fu is startled and says it's unbelievable, and asks how he found out and adds that he really has incredible eyes. Tan jokingly asks, does she still think he shouldn't have bought it for 20,000? She happily replies that in this case, He will definitely help out more and suggests to hurry to Uncle Hai. My uncle sees it and says in a daze that it is a porcelain tank with a jizn design, which must have been made in a furnace at that time. Lin adds that such antiques are rare these days and can only be found in the National Museum. My uncle concludes that based on its shape, we can say that it was made in the middle of the Qing dynasty, and asks Tang how he got it. Miss Fu offers to tell him herself. Lin exclaims in shock that he was only worth 20,000 and says that he is the legend of all the legends in the history of antiques. Tang again replies that it's just blind luck and suggests that Mr. Zhou must be chuckling. Who would spend so much money on such a pot? Then a man comes and recognizes the blue and white porcelain tank and asks his uncle if he sells it. Lin replies that it is Tang's antique. He brought it. The man asks the uncle if it is genuine. He confirms that he checked it. It was made in a furnace of that time. He turns to Tang and gives him his business card, introducing himself as the manager of the auction company, and his name is Chen Haifeng. And he adds that the porcelain is very valuable. If he entrusts it to their auction, it will be popular, and asks if this is interesting. Tan awkwardly apologizes that he hasn't thought about it yet. He says, then think about it. He and Uncle Hai can rest assured that he won't let them lose money. He will attract as many people as possible to this product and put a great price. Tan agrees. Later, Miss Fu asks Tang if he is really going to sell it. It is made in the furnace of the time of Shilun. It is very rare. Tan replies that he definitely wants to sell but is hesitant about the auction. She understands that his family urgently needs money. If he sells at auction, it will take a long time. You will have to pay large taxes and commissions. Tan says he thought about it too. She says, Uncle Hai has a lot of friends in this business. He will help him find a buyer. Suddenly, a man and a woman appear. She asks Tan if he is Mr. Tan. He confirms. When she greets him, she introduces herself as Zhang Xiyuan. They are employees of the ancient art auction company. He introduces his colleague, Zhao Xiang, who also greets him. She says Tan must already know why they came. Tan replies that they are here because of the porcelain tank, and apologizes, but he decided not to sell at the auction. She asks if he doubts the auction. He can be sure they can negotiate. Their goal is to sell his porcelain at the highest price. The man adds that once Tan trusts their company, he can rest easy. Their company is one of the 3 largest auction companies in Guangzhou. Tan apologetically refuses again, saying that he urgently needs money so he can't wait long. She realizing that he wants to get the money as early as possible, they can make an advance payment. Tan asks in surprise, can they pay in advance? She says that they pay in advance for ordinary things, but his goods are very rare, so the company can meet them halfway. Tan specifies exactly how much the advance payment will be. She replies that to determine it, you need to send this vessel for evaluation. Tan abruptly says that if he has to send it for research, then let it be forgotten. She hurriedly asks to wait and discuss it with the company. After a short conversation with a colleague, she introduces 2 experts sent by the company and asks to see the vessel. They look at him carefully and nod. Then she says that after the discussion, the company is ready to issue an advance payment of 600,000 rubles. Tan, after thinking for a while, still refuses, saying that the prepayment is too small. She shouts after him that this is just an initial payment. Begging, she asks him to wait. She needs to call the company. Then she calls the manager and asks what she should do. After talking to him, she offers 1 million. Tan firmly states that the prepayment must be 1.5 million, otherwise he will find another buyer. Wanting to get Tan's consent at all costs, she exclaims that the company agrees to 1.5 million. After signing the document, she writes out a check and Tan can't believe that he received so much right away. She says that the auction will be held this fall. They still have a couple of months. The process will take a maximum of 3 months. Tan replies that then he will wait for good news, and they take the porcelain tank. After they leave, Miss Fu congratulates him and asks if he isn't happy. Tang says he's glad, of course, and asks him to call Uncle Hai and Lin for lunch that evening. She awkwardly says that she was just joking. Everyone is busy with work. There is no need to invite guests. Tan insists that this is very important. Later, Tan talks to his mother, who asks if he doesn't have enough money. And he says that a second cousin and aunt helped raise 100,000 yuan, and if this is not enough, offers to sell the house. A couple of people are ready to pay 300,000. Tan hurriedly tells her not to sell the house and informs her that they are now rich. He just got 1.5 million. She doesn't believe me and asks me not to frighten her. Tang says it's true. He'll give her 300,000 so she can pay them back. And with 100,000, she can buy the right medicine. Then she goes to her father and tells him everything. They are shocked by the price and Tan adds that it is only an advance and they will pay him more later. The father admits that he did not expect that having such a good son, he can now relax. From now on, this family relies on Tan. Tan, looking at his daughter-in-law, says that she also did a lot of work. Without her, he wouldn't have been able to take care of him. She retorts that she only helped a little. What Tan did is more serious. When they leave the room, Tang hands her an envelope with 30,000 yuan on it, and she just looks surprised. He adds that taking care of his father all day is probably hard. He will hire a nurse so that she can rest. With this money, she will be able to pay the rent for the previous month, find another place, closer, and it will be more convenient to come for her father. Also asks to eat something delicious to strengthen the body and buy things. She hugs him and tearfully says that she has never met such a good person as him. He adds that even when she was dating his brother, he wasn't that kind to her. Tan replies that their family was short of money at the time, so he treated her well. Wiping away her tears, she says that there is no problem of poverty now, but she still feels how warmly he treats her and thanks him. Tan asks him not to thank him because they are family and offers to find a nurse. Besides, she needs to have a good rest today. The next day, while Tanu's sister Tao is working, she shouts, "Come to him here immediately, she needs to talk to him," and asks if it is true that he asked his daughter-in-law to pay the rent, and also that she should move to another place. Tan confirms that he asked his daughter-in-law to pay the rent. They were so heavily in debt, now that they have the money, they can pay it back. She is indignant. Didn't she say that they don't need to pay rent? Or he thinks that the house is too small, so we need to move out. Let him come and tell her directly. Tan replies that it's not a good time right now. He's at work. She says that she really needs his help. Her leg is hurting again and she is not feeling well. Tan excitedly replies that he will come as soon as possible. Arriving at the rented apartment, Tan sees his daughter-in-law packing her things. She asks why he is here. Tan replies that Tao's sister called him and said she wouldn't accept the rent. She confirms that she doesn't know why, but her family used to ask for payment every day, and Tan says he'll talk to her himself. He knocks on her door, asking if she's here, and the next moment she opens it and is glad he's here. And she says that she missed him very much and she asks if she's all right. She smiles and asks, did he really believe that her leg hurts? Did the medicine he gave her heal her leg in one day? Didn't even leave a scar. Tan vexedly asks why she is doing this to him. Because on the way he ran to the pharmacy to get medicine. She says it's so touching and apologizes for lying. She pays for the medicine and asks to stay for dinner. She makes it herself. Tan starts talking about the rent, but she immediately replies that she won't accept the payment. If he pays the rent, then it pays for his medical bills. These days a visit to the doctor is expensive. Tan still agrees not to pay but says that they will not rent the house, so she can rent to others. She asks plaintively, he thinks her house is small. Can she give a bigger house with air conditioning? Tan replies that it's not because he doesn't like her house, just that he needs to find a place closer to the hospital so that his sister-in-law can visit the hospital. She says that in this case, she will not force him, but he must promise that he will not forget her, and they will keep in touch. Tan promises. Later, Tan calls Dr. Huang and asks if there is any good news about the surgery application. He understands that he is worried about his father, but reminds that there are a lot of people who want such an operation, so the application was not accepted. Tan anxiously asks him what he means, and he replies that the results have arrived. The application for his father's operation has been rejected and another patient has been approved. Tan shouts, how can he say that the application is not accepted after so much effort? The doctor understands that it is difficult for him to accept this, but he is sure that there will be a chance later, and if a new kidney donor appears, they will fight for it to the end. Tan tearfully says that he can pay another 500,000 and asks what is the name of the patient who received the donor. Unable to stand it, he shouts that he definitely did not fight for it, could not help. Otherwise, there would not have been such a result. He rejects his words and says that he tried his best. And even if he knew the answer to his question, this is confidential information. He can't say it. And he asks if those whose application was accepted will not be in the same situation. If Tan takes this opportunity away from them, they will have no hope. This is a fair competition. Tan apologizes to him, admits that he snapped and thanks him for everything. He replies that he is really sorry. The daughter-in-law sees him and asks if Tan is all right. His face is pale. He replies that he is fine and asks me to pack my things first. He will look for a place closer to the hospital. She agrees and says that he doesn't need to worry about everything. His work is more important. Tan replies that he knows and thinks he shouldn't tell her about it and needlessly bother her. On the way, Tang recalls that in the past, in exchange for revealing the secret of detoxification, Wang Lixia offered to help, but they still failed. And when he calls her, he tells her that they need to discuss something important. She understands what he wants to talk about and asks him to come to their hospital. Tan comes to her, angrily asks if she didn't promise to help, why the application wasn't accepted, and where is her help. She replies that she did everything possible. After a thorough checkup, she found out that of all the patients, only his father's condition is critical. She did not expect that she would be taken away by another. Tan then demands to tell him what the patient's name is, and she replies that she doesn't know. But the case is strange, so she called him and wanted to tell him about it. Tan suggests that the patient's family must be very rich and influential. She says she doesn't know the person's identity, but he was recently diagnosed with uremia and was in good condition, so he could have waited for another donor. He says if she talks about this patient in detail, he will make a detox medicine and ask the old doctor for prescriptions for other medications. She asks hopefully will he give them medicine? Tan confirms if they help with these two problems, he will cooperate with them. If they don't want to, he will find someone else. She clings to his shoulders and says that she can't promise, but she will try to find out from her superiors as soon as possible. Tan leaving abruptly says that they better hurry. His father can't wait long. Following Tan, Mo calls out to him and asks him to wait a little longer. She adds that she took the day off today and did not expect to meet him, and asks if he got the money they raised for him. Tan confirms and thanks her. She says she heard Director Wang talk about the problem with the kidney donation application. Encouraging him asks, "Do not despair. He will have another chance." Tan replies that it's not because of luck, but just not fair. She asks what happened, and Tan starts telling her. After finishing the story, she says in amazement that this is really not fair. Tan says they have money and power and he is just a poor student. How can he compete with him? But he is not going to give up. His father will get what he deserves. Mo supports him and says that you cannot give up. There will definitely be a way out. Tan thinks God is on his side. He has an incredible ability, even though he can't make medicine for his father. But there must be a way. She says he should go to university with her. She will give him the tuition fee. Tan replies thoughtfully that he hasn't decided yet whether to continue studying. Mo says no matter what he chooses, it doesn't contradict the teaching in life. Live to teach more and more. Tan agrees to go with her with a smile and they go together. Sitting in the audience, Tan asks what she does every day in the hospital, caring for patients. She says that she mostly helps different doctors. She did not have any experience in the field of medicine yet. The others see the two of them together and start whispering when Tan's phone rings. He picks up, it's Xiaoxu, who says, so Tang still remembers him. He heard that he came to the university and was with Mo. Tan, embarrassed, tells him not to talk nonsense. He just came to study and she helps him with homework. He suggests that they have lunch together, and Tan says that he will treat them and asks Mo if she will go with them. She apologetically replies that she wasn't invited, so she shouldn't go. Tan says he's giving her a treat. She helped him so much, so he invites her to lunch to thank her. She responds with a smile as he invites, why not? On the street, noticing them Xiaoxu with his friend, they call Tan to themselves. Tan coming up to them says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. He notes that Tan is able to return effectively. The second adds, do not forget to say hello to him. Tan offers to go, reminding that he treats, he refuses, arguing that he is already collecting money for his father's treatment. On the contrary, they will treat him. Tan replies that the medical expenses are already covered, so he can safely afford to buy them a drink. Mo adds that Tan is now a businessman. His father needed hundreds of thousands, and he paid them all at once. They are surprised that all at once. His friend pushing him says, go already to the old place, so it's Tan's turn to treat. When they arrived at the cafe, they sat looking at the menu and deciding what they would eat. At this moment, a foreign car pulls up to the cafe. A tall blonde man in expensive clothes gets out of the car. One of the friends says that he is tall, rich, and still handsome. Xiaoxu adds how his parents came to give the child such a name. Tang recalls that Gao Fushuai was a classmate of Mo's in high school, and he chased after her at university. Suddenly, Mo stands up abruptly and asks the guy why he's here. He replies with a grin that he has been looking for her for a long time, and she turns out to be here. She adds that there will be a party tonight. A meeting of classmates, Swear and Lei will also be there. Everyone is waiting for her to come too. Mo finds out that he is lying to her again, reminds her that last time he also said that there would be such a meeting, but no one came to it. Two of Tan's friends whisper that this Fushuai is such a liar, he's knocked up so many girls during his studies. The second heard that someone committed suicide because of him. Tan thinks to himself that he would be surprised if Mo agreed. She is smart and wouldn't do such stupid things. Mo refusing Fushuai says to go there himself. She has business with Tan. He asks in surprise if she is going to eat here. He has booked a table at the Ding Tai Hotel. There is only fast food that is harmful to her health. Xiaoxiu is indignant at how fast food is used and asks if he eats only selected products. He replies that if he had money, he would also eat like this. Every day at the hotel, eating seafood. But he's afraid that he won't be able to afford it, even if he works all his life. Xiaoxiu asks irritably. He thinks they can't eat at the hotel. They just don't need it. But Xiaoxiu asks, even if they don't need it, they can afford it. Mo yells at them to stop and tells them that Tan invited her first to dinner tonight, and tells her not to call her again unless it's about a real classmate meeting. Fushuai turns to Tang and asks, is he Tang Qian, who Mo has arranged to have dinner with? Tan resolutely looks at him and confirms that it's him.